Hello, 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 I'm the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15, whatever I feel like every Friday at 9:15. Tonight we're going to be playing a game called Little Nemo the Dream Master. Little Nemo the Dream Master, as we just saw, is when the Princess of Slumberland asks Nemo to come to play with her. So, alright, let's not have that many emojis. That's too many. Sorry. Hello, Inuyugi. Hello, Max. Finding Nemo is not here. This is a different kind of Nemo. This is Little Nemo, the Dream Master. Welcome to the stream, everybody. It's good to see you, James and Logan and Max and Inu and Urg and everybody else. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday, happy Labor Day here in the state / of the United of States of... Wait, that didn't work out. Let me try that again. Happy Labor Day to those of you based in the United States. Labor Day, of course, celebrates something about working and so on and so forth. Hello, Mark. Hello. You don't have to be supportive. It's all right. Hello, Cody M and everybody else. Yeah, we're not gonna have 18 million emojis here, Logan Pauler. This is your one and only warning. Boom. Blame Canada with their beady little eyes. Da 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 da. Blame Canada. I think that's not how Labor Day is supposed to work. On Labor Day, you're supposed to not work. Like, unions gave us that right. That's what I heard. Hey, we're not gonna do that. No, no, no. Take care. Oh yeah, did you find that some of your subscriptions were being watchified? One thing I will say is they don't actually track YouTube gaming subscriptions. Oh, hello guy. Hello little boy, what are you doing here? This place is too dangerous for little boys, but if you've got your mindset on staying here, something. Oh, I can ride people if I feed them candy and press select to stop. Many doors are locked and I will need to get keys for them. By the way, my name is Flip. Okay, Flip. Logan, we don't need to have any hate. But Soy, we don't need to have any banning either. Okay, so in order to beat the first world here, I need 6 keys. So I gotta find all of them. Because last time I played through this level, I did not find all of them. And then I did not have 6 keys, and it was a problem. I wonder if, So sometimes those are people who, like, have made their subscriptions private? I wonder if, I don't know. I would be interested to hear more. Not like while I'm streaming because that's hard, but like I'll hit you up on IRC. Okay, so now I'm in the water. That's good. I know you're sad, Logan, but like you probably do have friends. 2, you've got a bunch of people who are pretty chill with you, but like on YouTube gaming, and happy to have you hang out and everything else like that. So, you know, sometimes you just gotta accept that life isn't always going to be exactly what you want from it. You gotta do what you can with what you've got, and you know, you gotta make your own happiness. You know, don't worry so much about what other people think or what other people do or anything else like that. Go around, talk to people, do the thing, find things you enjoy and do them. And that's just the way life is. That's right. I mean, I will say that I suffered very much from some of the same flaws of like, oh, nobody likes me, like I'm never going to be popular or happy, I'm never gonna have a girlfriend, I'm never gonna be anything, blah blah blah. Like, I've gone through all that stuff, but I also know that, you know, it gets better isn't just something that they say to you know, a small set of people. It's true for pretty much all of us. High school or junior high or elementary school or college is not the end-all be-all of your life. Most of your life is going to be spent doing things that are under your control as an adult rather than someone else's control, and you should kind of find ways to find and make your happiness so that you can go around and do that. So 5 days ago, yeah. I mean, I suffer routinely from, you know, self-doubt and all kinds of other things. So it is definitely not the case that it's ever going to be like, oh yeah, everything's magically okay all at once. Like, that's not really how it works. Like, we all go through shit, and that's how it goes. Oh no! Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Nobody likes me, everybody hates me, guess I'll go eat worms. Big, fat, juicy ones, itty bitty, skinny ones, worms, 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 worms. Nobody likes me, everybody hates me, I guess I'll go eat worms. I've been there. As just said, like, I routinely suffer from some of these problems still, even as an adult, when I have control over what I do, when I have pretty much an awesome life. You know, I work for YouTube, I get to, you know, buy cool things like drones and play cool video games and hang out with cool people, and still, I suffer from periods of self-doubt and depression. Alright, so how do I get up there? Because that's what I want to do. Oh, I can just jump through walls. Okay, that's cool. Alright, now I have 6 keys, which is good. Oh no! Yes! I did it! I am awesome. Hello, Paul! Welcome to the stream. That's right, keep sleeping. No, don't wake up. If I wake up, how am I gonna hang out? I like that the question mark is clearly like a totally different font. I mean, I think a lot of this comes down to the fact, so I was actually joking at one point. I said, you know, what's the hello world of NES programming? Because someone was like, the hello world, doing hello world on NES programming is actually very difficult because it doesn't actually have fonts or text or anything else like that. So, okay, Oompy wants to meet me and he lives under the water. Well, that's very nice for Oompy. By the way, it is my expectation that we are going to, at least for, okay, that does not seem to be going anywhere well, good. That I am going to be playing through these first couple levels a couple times before I go into massive save stating mode, so do not be surprised at all when that happens. Alright. I want to be able to, I guess I can't jump on top of people as a human. Only as like a frog or whatever. I can throw candy at them and freeze them in place, but that's it. CPG should always cheat is rule number, four. Rule 4. CPG should always cheat. What the heck is this game anyways? Well, this is Little Nemo in Dreamland. I know pretty much nothing about it. Oh, I bet I have to feed this gorilla. I was like, why? There's no animals for me to tame. So Little Nemo has been invited by the Princess of Dreamland to come and visit. She gave him candy, and as a result, he said that maybe he could come, and so now we are going to visit her. He was a little bit worried because she's a girl and he doesn't play with girls, but he's decided that he can hang out because there's candy. God damn it. Logan, I am sad and I'm going to grab a gun and kill myself are two very different things. One of them is understandable and a discussion topic that is not entirely inappropriate, although it gets old after a while, and one of them is not appropriate at all, especially because I don't actually think that that's a reasonable description of your current state. So you need to back off a little bit. The people here are trying to give you good advice and give you a sense that you are over the line. You are over the line. And if you continue to be over the line, it's not going to work out well for you or I. So don't do that. I did not know that. See? Soybomb has all the facts. Soybomb, by the way, is the Retro King, is a streamer himself, and is a big fan of all kinds of different retro games. So if you are interested in games like this one, you may want to check out Soybomb. Of course, he doesn't actually like this game, so if you like this game, maybe you shouldn't check out Soybomb. But, yeah, I know very little about this game, but someone asked me if I had played it, and I was like, no, and I vaguely remembered it, and so I'm streaming it. It's my approach for how I pick games to play is actually not all that complicated. It's basically like, hey, I've heard of that. God damn it. There was probably a better approach to that, but I don't know what it was. I mean, maybe it's the lack of continues. Oh, I do have continues. Well, that's good. I didn't get... oh, right. I wasn't able to continue the last time I played because I didn't actually beat the first level, so... The candy mentality is possible. Hello, Stingray! Stingray is also a member of the Retro Squad, the group of retro gaming streamers who hang out here on YouTube Gaming, which includes Soybomb, Stingray Gaming, myself, and SnapClickKat. We've been gaming here and streaming here on YouTube Gaming for more than a year, I think all of us at this point, and playing retro games. So Soybomb actually plays retro games every night. The rest of us are more, you know, busy than that. Yeah, so those are two people to check out. If you are a fan of retro games, check them out and sub and show some love, as SnapClickKat would say. Alright, get out of here, monkey. Monkey see, monkey punch. That's my rule. Okay, spikes kill you. Yeah. Hello, Unreal Focus! Yeah, a key thing to remember is that just because the conversation isn't focused on you doesn't actually mean it's a bad thing. In fact, having a conversation which isn't focused on you can oftentimes be very helpful, because having a conversation focused entirely on you is going to be boring. Unless you're me, of course, in which case it's super exciting. No, I mean, even for me, right? Like, I love having a lot of attention. I love being the center of attention. I always have. But it is still the case that I don't make the conversation here even all about me. I make it about games. I make it about, you know, software. I make it about the world at large, although I realize that's a pretty depressing topic in and of itself. You know, those are all important things to realize. Realizing that you're not always going to be the center of attention, and just because something is bad doesn't mean that you are bad or anything else like that is fine. Did I think to volunteer to give a presentation to Tony's kids this semester? No, I would not think to do that, because I don't think I have anything interesting to teach them. I'm not a very smart or capable guy on the teaching front. My ability to teach, like, adults is moderate, but my ability to teach children, I think, is non-existent. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, there must be a trick. I don't like conversations that aren't focused on you, but I acknowledge that sometimes they have to be focused on something else, because otherwise people can't stay interested and involved, right? Like, you have to be able to accept that not everything is about you. It's a really important thing in life. Am I doing homework for random kids? No, I'm not doing homework for random kids. The question is whether I would be helpful in teaching kids. No, I mean, I think that, like, I would be happy to, like, look around for someone who's based in the Chicago office where we have engineers and try and hook Tony up with someone from Google to talk to out there, but I wouldn't fly out just for that. I mean, I don't teach kids here. I don't know why I would consider it important enough to teach kids there. Alright, so... I'm confused. So confused! Fuck! I'm sorry you missed your family, Logan. That sucks. But you're doing the thing again where you're making the conversation all about you. So maybe try to listen and get involved and talk about something else, you know? It can be the video game, or it can be any of the myriad topics that I routinely bring up. It can be many different things. Yeah, I'm gonna die a lot. I have a feeling. Like, I don't know what to do yet, so... Ah, fucking bee. Ah! Alright, there we go. England is your god church. I don't know what that means. England is my god church. My god church is... I don't have a god church, I guess. Hello, hello, hello? Is that better? I feel like I was too loud. Level 2 ICT in college in the UK. That is awesome, Bradley Verrills. I have no idea what those words mean, but that's cool. I know that if you're in the UK and you're up at whatever time of the night it is now, then you're up too late, so you should go to bed. I think it's like 1 in the morning, although like the idea that you're in college and you should go to bed because it's 1 in the morning is not really like a thing that I ever lived by as a comp sci major at UIUC before I dropped out. Oh, I had a dream last night. I was giving a presentation and it was supposed to be like I thought it was supposed to be like a 5-minute lightning talk, and then it was going to turn into a 12-minute lightning talk, and I didn't really have a topic picked out, and I didn't know how long it was supposed to be, and then everyone was like whispering and talking, and so I couldn't actually, like, no one could hear me, and I said, look, if you don't want to hear me talk, like, just leave instead of talking over me, please. And then like 89% of the room left except for 4 people who were enjoying what I was talking about. So that wasn't great, but it was a good talk. I was talking about how, like, you know, growing up as like going to, what was it? Like as a dropout was not like the worst thing I ever did in my life or something like that. It's alright, Bradley. I don't expect anyone to be here. It's not a job to be here at my streams. Like, I accept anyone who's here. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you have fun, have a good conversation, and are happy. Those are all the things that I want from my streams and anything else like that. I want people to be happy. You know, I don't actually even care. In my streams and life, I want people to be happy as possible. And if you being here helps you be a little bit happier, then great. And if you being here makes you exhausted so you can't do your schoolwork, that's bad, and I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, unfortunately I can't pay well. That would have to be like an unpaid internship or something like that, and I have pretty strong feelings against unpaid internships, so I don't think that's a position I know how to work out. Okay, so if I go this way, I'm gonna die. Oh, right, I can not be a gorilla. No, that didn't work either. Eat all my chili. I have no chili. I have no chili, I have no chill. But yeah, a key thing for me to fighting depression has always been to involve myself in activities. So one of the things that I have always learned to do is that, like, for me personally, doing something creative or like compelling that I'm happy with has always been the biggest thing for me to feel like I'm being a productive and successful member of society. And so finding ways to, whether it's coloring or whether it's filming, whether it's writing a story or writing in a journal or anything else like that, producing something has always been one of the key things that I do in order to fight depression. Of course, everyone has their own approach, but that's for me. Yeah, you're getting timed out, Logan. You've been asked to stop like 6 times, and if I have to ask you to stop again, I will ban you, and we'll just be done with this. Fuck. That's cool, Bradley. I was recently reading a YouTube subreddit post where someone was like, alright, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel and I'm gonna invest $10,000 in advertising, and you're gonna come and live in my apartment and be my full-time video editor. I can't pay you, but it's definitely gonna be awesome. And I was just like, no, like that's creepy, because like, you don't live in the apartment of your boss. Like, that is not an appropriate method of payment. And 2, if you're like, I have a great idea and I'm going to invest $10,000 in it, you don't like also have a unpaid intern. Like, that's not an okay thing. So hello, Tommy Rendell. Hello Jim Francis, good to see you. Hello SuperFox5 Gaming, good to see you. How was Kingdom Hearts? Did you enjoy it? I have never actually played Kingdom Hearts. I think I've played a bunch of the games that are referenced in Kingdom Hearts, but I don't think I've ever played it. Okay, so what the fuck? Like, I'm literally gonna have to, like, go to a guide for the first, you know, 20%, like second level of this game. Hello, Jose! Yeah, or Chaos, well, I will say, actually, that most, but yeah, most unpaid internships are not legal. I agree. Jim Francis, it depends, but reported messages are reviewed by our teams for abuse. They will be aggregated, and the comments that people make will be looked at by our abuse teams in aggregate. So if you report someone for a message and then like they've been reported hundreds of times, then the abuse team might take action against their account, such as suspending their account. Live chat is a little bit hinky at the moment. I don't think we've developed sufficient systems yet for handling live chat messages reporting, and the like thresholds we're using are very much targeted at preventing spam rather than just preventing like minimal abuse. But that's a good thing we continue to work on, to try and find the right levels of you know, what we need to do and what prevents abuse and everything else like that. So I think for live chat, they're examined pretty quickly, but not quickly enough that it would matter for live chat, right? And I think that even when a message is reported, it's not, we don't take action against that specific message, we would take action against the account. So I don't really know. I don't know what ICT is, so you're gonna have to give me more information for me to guess at that. Is that like integrated computer technology or something? Tommy Rendell, what are we talking about? I mean, read the chat and then see? I don't know, like, the conversation is based on what's going on in the chat. Just talking about random shit. My topic for tonight is whatever people feel like talking about. I did just finish a book called Lassoing the Sun. Lassoing the Sun is about a man who spent a year visiting national parks and thinking about the future of the national park system in the US, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, so there's a bee down there, but I have no idea how to get to it. There's like this weird skinny part that I can go through. Gotcha. YouTube doesn't have hosting other channels because it just doesn't. Like, YouTube doesn't have a lot of things that Twitch does, probably. I think that some people have thought that that's important. My feeling is that one of the strengths of YouTube is its non-live content, its VOD content, and so to have a feature that's so focused on live, I feel like would be a mistake. And so I think that my hope is that if YouTube ever does something like hosting, that they will do it in a YouTube-y way rather than in a Twitch-friendly way. I think that would be better for everyone. Okay, so I was hoping that I would be able to like go through here or something like that, but I don't feel able to do that either, so... Cat! SnapClickKat! How is it going? IP bans are stupid. They are absolutely useless against dedicated attackers and cause massive amounts of unintentional harm. They only cause more damage. So here was the trick. He told me at the beginning of the level that someone under the water wanted to talk to me, and I was scared if I went to the bottom of the water that it would kill me. And look in the trees for him. Okay. So apparently there's a lizard in the trees. The entire Retro Squad in one place. That's right. Disguise Following, most of the, like, visit my profile things have links to their, like, site links are, spam. So they're, like, links that are not, like, God, what's the word? Malware. So they have links to malware as their profile, like, channel profile links. And so the malware allows them to, you know, do all the negative things that malware does. Oh, I can climb up further up the tree. Of course. And so the goal is to get them to do that. So IP bans are easily avoided by dedicated attackers and not helpful and have massive negative consequences, right? So, YouTube, for privacy reasons, will never expose IPs to people, which means that you can't know whether you're going to ban one person or 1,000 in your chat. And for example, like, all T-Mobile users on IPv4 use the exact same IP address, or rather, there's like 4 of them. And this is true for a lot of different ISPs, especially in Asia and other places like that. So IP bans are a really like a bad solution for a serious problem. So the serious problem is, of course, that people abuse in chat. And so we should have better tools for handling abuse. We should have better tools for responding to reports. We should have better tools for all these things. And that's an area where we're actively working. And we should also have you know, better tools for moderation. For example, Twitch has automatic moderation tools, and we should have automatic moderation tools so that, you know, messages that are clearly just abuse and attacks are not, you know, as easy to get through. As a streamer, of course, you still have to see, like, moderated comments, you know, otherwise it would be very difficult for you to, you know, prevent false positives from an automated system. But it is absolutely the case that we should be doing better on both moderation and on responding to abuse than we are. And that's, I think, where all of the work should be, not in IP bans, which are a big hammer for a crappy, like, problem. So that's really what I think, and I know that lots of people feel that IP bans are absolutely a good thing and everything else like that, and this is going to be a position that not everyone's going to agree on, but my position is YouTube needs to have better handling of abuse, period, and how we get there should not be as important as that we get there. And I think that, for example, you know, I have seen many channels where I look at it and, you know, there's just, like, massive abuse against dozens of videos, against, you know, dozens of different streamers from a single channel, and that's not appropriate and should not be permissible. And then, of course, you've got the people like, you know, Reese, who's thankfully moved on, who had created more than 1,200 different accounts to spam with, and, like, when we suspended, like, we would suspend each of them individually, and it's like, you know, that's just not a workable solution. You have to do something better than that. So we've done some better things than that for a while, and we've got more to do. So Julie asked how much. Julie, our daughter Julie, we donated 1,500 so far. No, because I donated another 1,000 at work, and I donated another 500 myself. No, that was for something else. That was for, what did I donate for before that? There was something that was like right before we went on vacation, I did some Google Match donation for something. But yeah, so I absolutely think that YouTube needs better handling of abuse, beginning and end of story, and we need to improve that situation, and we continue to work on improving it. How do I? Okay, I gotta go this way. Ah, crap. Saw that coming, couldn't do anything about it. Yeah, I mean, we've donated a lot. Oh god. Preston McNair, of course, is one of the... You're a TF, right? So whenever you've heard someone talk about the terribleness of the YouTube Heroes program, Preston McNair is one of the people who's out there being part of the YouTube Heroes program, whether it's YouTube Top Contributors or YouTube's Trusted Flaggers programs. Both are absolutely critical to helping identify and prevent some of the worst abuses on the platform, of, you know, everything from child porn to spam is you know, within the remit of our Trusted Flagger programs. So the YouTube has done I think a decent job at getting better at combating some forms of VOD stuff, but live chat is just like, we haven't put enough effort into it yet, and there are people who are now actually like in charge of that, which is an improvement over, you know, how it was for a long time. And so my hope is that now that there are actually people whose job it is to work on making it better, that we will see it actually be better, and we will see meaningful improvements. But, you know, as with everything YouTube, it's always up in the air, so... So possible to ban devices. There is some extent to which YouTube has tools that can help it identify people who are creating. I mean, like, oftentimes people create things even on like the same accounts, right? So if someone is creating multiple accounts to spam that are all tied to the same basic like Gmail account, then that's something that we can do better on. And there are other tools that we can use as well. And this is why I can say, like, Reese had more than 1,000 accounts attached to his name, right? So there's absolutely no reason that we could not have banned all of Reese's accounts instead of just one of them. And so that's one of the big things that we need to work on, is making sure that when you ban one person, they don't immediately come back on a different account and are able to abuse you again. Like, that's a shitty situation. And it's also, I mean, luckily for many people, it's relatively rare, but for the people who are targeted, it's terrible. It's a terrible experience, especially if you've got, you know, a relatively small chat where it's totally easy to overwhelm the chat with a single account, much less multiple accounts. And so, like, I have collected, you know, a bunch of different accounts where it's like clear that people are, you know, creating multiple accounts specifically with the intent to spam, and pass them on to the spam team so we can improve our handling both from a policy and technical perspective, and have proposed a number of solutions that can help, you know, eliminate some of that abuse. Now, dedicated attackers are always going to have that, like, the upper hand, right? Pooper is always going to be one step ahead, and there is going to be, like, a real hard time fighting every piece of abuse, but we can do a lot better than we're doing today. So, do I get attacked a lot? I don't get attacked. No, nobody cares about me. Like, I get attacked whenever I have a video title that's like, fuck Donald Trump, but, like, that's me asking for trouble, so I have no problem with that. But overall, like, I'm a guy, which helps a lot. I am, like, absolutely... I do sometimes run into Attack across the website, but I think that's a different thing. You're not talking about the streamer named Attack, I don't think. Yes, I have checked my privilege, and it is awesome. But yeah, no, like, I'm super privileged. Like, I am in the majority, like, I am in every majority there is as a white male video game streamer. I have no negative consequences that come from who I am or anything else like that. And so it's very hard for me to be the voice here. But I do try very hard to listen to and amplify the voices of people who are attacked, who do suffer from those types of things, who are, you know, more vulnerable populations, whether they are people of color, whether they are, you know, women on the platform, whether they are anything else like that. It's one of the reasons why I use the platform, is to understand and communicate a lot of the terribleness that happens for other people. You know, the first streamer who I started watching was Blucifer back in the very early days of YouTube gaming, and so to watch her streams and moderate for her streams, especially when she was doing Minecraft and other things like that, was absolutely an instructive lesson in, you know, how terrible people can be to women who are participating in a gaming environment. You know, the expectation of you are here for my personal enjoyment. Okay, I got a problem. This guy cannot fly very high is absolutely a thing. I mean, Jess, I still stand by. You're dealing with latency issues there. They were talking about your tits, but Julie just happened to sit down at the computer as they were talking about your tits. So, well, I think that the reality here, right, is like, okay, let's just look at, you know, so one thing that I have considered personally, right? So not things that the team has considered, but things that I would consider to be potentially actionable things, right? One, don't let people make live comments on a brand new account without verifying their phone number, like having a verified account. Verification is a step that takes much longer than just creating an account. Like literally you can make a new YouTube account in 12 seconds. I've timed it. It takes almost no effort to do that. And so to have the only limitation be like bans on that is stupid. So, okay, you've got a brand new account that was created in the past, you know, 6 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever time limit you want to set based on data. You have to validate your account with a phone number before you can comment in live chat. Now, obviously that limits the number of people who can talk in live chat, but it does eliminate that, like, I'm just going to make an account, 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 from, you know, being a useful metric for spam. Another thing is that you could do that based on the number of accounts someone has, you know, so I have like 14 YouTube accounts because I have a bunch that I've made for testing and everything else like that, but like that, spammers also have many YouTube accounts, so if you had to wait, you know, 1 extra day before you could comment in live chat for every YouTube account you had that wasn't verified or anything else like that, then, you know, that can be something that is a useful feature. Another thing would be to limit the number of comments that people can make, not just based on what seems to be a simplistic timeout of, like, you know, 5 messages in 60 seconds, but tie it to some sort of abuse signals, right? But I think, like, one of the key things that could help for larger chats, which maybe doesn't help for smaller chats, is like having an auto moderation tool like Twitch. And I think that that fits well into the wheelhouse of what YouTube is actually pretty good at, as well as what they've been working on for like general comments, right? So as you get into a world where comments are being you know, moderated via automatic moderation tools and automatically blacklisted and better detection of spam and everything else like that in the VOD comment world, I think you can apply many of those same lessons to the live comment world. Hello, Psycho Mike. Well, so, again, Cody M, everything is just trade-offs, right? Like, you don't want to prevent people from being able to use the service, but at the same time, you want to stop spammers. So how do you identify spammers? How do you stop spammers without affecting legitimate usage is always a consideration. And figuring out ways to do that is, you know, what YouTube should be doing, what YouTube should be working on, and finding ways to do that better, so... I think that it's complicated. I think that the under 13 thing is more complicated than people think, even for YouTube. Fuck. Alright, going down this way. Screw it. I don't know off the top of my head whether if someone says they are under 13, whether YouTube would take action on that if reported. I mean, yeah, Cody M, but again, like, this is all just trade-offs, right? So like, I have had to resort to multiple phone numbers and other things like that to verify my accounts, because you can only verify like 2 accounts per year per phone number, and I have more than that. And I don't know how many people that applies to, but it might be a consideration, so... No, Jim Francis, if you didn't, like, subbotting is not, like, if YouTube were to find, I'm not gonna swear to this, right? So this is like my interpretation of YouTube's enforcement priorities and not some like you will never get in trouble thing. But overall, my position is that, or my perception is that YouTube does not consider the fact that you have fake subs on your channel to be something that is the priority for YouTube to enforce against that creator. YouTube would rather enforce that by detecting those subs and getting rid of them on their own in the future, and not by trying to penalize the people who have used those services. I had an account at one point that I was testing the view buying services on, made totally separate, no useful content or anything else like that. I was just making it to test it and then deleted it, and I was like, nothing bad happened to that account. Like, YouTube just tries to get rid of those views. So the 301 view count stop is no more. It dates back to when YouTube had a daily view count pipeline that would run, and before, or daily, whatever, some time period view count pipeline that would run, and it used to be that was the way that they made sure, like the goal was that YouTube view count should never go down, and so when that is your, what's the word for it, your not like your deterministic factor is that YouTube view count should never go down, then you have to do something other than like, allow them to go down. So 301 views was the way that YouTube made sure that views never went down. Rather than continuing to count up and then getting rid of some of them later, it would instead just stop at 301 until it had validated those views. And so like up to 301, you could literally like just constantly refresh the page and YouTube would continue to increase your view count. And then later, now that we have more like fast counting mechanisms and we have like a real-time view counter thing, we can do that. So no, this guy's falling. There is no removal of those types of accounts. Take care, Logan Fowler. I mean, Van Helsing, it's rare. Like I said, I'm not going to swear to it. Usually when people get a large influx of subscribers, people tell all kinds of stories. And I've heard lots of stories. I've heard every story in the book. And oftentimes when you look behind the scenes, it turns out there's more to the story. And YouTube doesn't always communicate that because they don't want to have information revealed to spammers, right? So for every situation that you look at, someone's gonna get like there's gonna be one person who's gonna get a shitty message, and it's gonna happen. But how's it going, Jaden's Epic? Okay. But yeah, so generally speaking, sub counts are cleared like constantly, effectively. So it used to be that, maybe it was more slow, but now every day, YouTube, like, the whole sub purge thing that you'll see, like, numbers go down by a lot all at once is almost always the case. That all of that has happened is that YouTube's, like, back-end processes failed to run the thing that runs every day to keep the sub count clean, and so it failed for like a week, and then it ran all at once, and so the numbers suddenly dropped all at once. Of course, the worst of that was like right after, was it VidCon this year? Maybe last year, I can't remember, when they went down by like 2.5 months, because the job hadn't run in 2.5 months, and they didn't think to like tell any of the support teams that this was going to happen beforehand, which was really dumb. On the plus side, we've now got monitoring in place, which catches those things more quickly, and so usually instead of it being like 2.5 months, it's a little bit shorter. The one time it was 2.5 months was actually doubly exacerbated because it turned out that the YouTube, like subscribing to YouTube and YouTube Gaming was causing double subscriptions to count, and the daily process would clean it up, but which we fixed, and we fixed it even before like the big sub purge, but it meant that there was like a 2.5 month period where all of your subscribers for YouTube and YouTube Gaming would count doubly, So those all got removed at once, and it's like, oh Jesus, this is terrible. That was just like, that was a really shitty situation. That was what started actually the YouTube, like the C.R. Schmidt 2 Minutes of Truth videos. Yeah, also things like that. Come here, buddy. Oh no! Well, that didn't work out for me. Are the diamond play buttons real diamond? I have no idea. Aren't they? Are they diamond or play? I don't know. They're super heavy. I know that they're like 40 pounds. So my guess is that they're not real diamond. Yeah, I don't know, Little Warrior. It was like a UI bug. Like, shit like that happens. Someone like, you know, added an extra line of code and didn't realize that it was going to apply in the situation. You know, we get big bugs like that all the time. YouTube is constantly working on a million different things. We've got a million different releases and bugs and features and everything else like that going on all the time. So, bugs like that just happen. I don't even question them anymore. I think there used to be a bronze play button back in the day, but now there's like something like 1 million channels with more than 10,000 subscribers. And so it's really hard to, like, it was just impractical. So instead of it being a button, now YouTube, you know, has features that you get instead, right? So like at 10,000 subs, you get access to YouTube Spaces, you get access to channel consultations and other things like that. So rather than being about a button, which is just an award, they try and give you features that will help you to continue to grow your channel. And the reality is that if you can't get to 100,000 subscribers, which, I mean, not to say anything bad about anybody, I can't, but if you can't get to 100,000 subscribers, you can't, you're not really making this a business decision or a business thing, right? So the whole point here is to reward people who are really, it's a financial reward. It has to have a financial value, and it has to have a financial purpose. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You know, YouTube can't afford to give something out to people who aren't making enough money because they would lose money on the deal. And if you can get to 100,000 is a reasonable goal to say, okay, now you're for serious, we're for serious, we can work together on making this a real thing. WWE isn't on Hulu yet. Okay. Yeah, so most of the YouTube hackers, quote unquote, have actually not been hacking YouTube. What they've been hacking is MCN accounts. So MCNs are basically get full access to your channel and the ability to do things within it. And those MCNs are absolutely in control. And unfortunately, many MCNs don't have Google's security team in order to prevent people from building shitty software. Google has some of the best security people in the biz, and they work really hard to review changes for security reasons to make sure that we are doing our best for users. But unfortunately, MCNs don't undergo the same kind of stringent processes. So I know like Omni Media got hacked and other things like that got hacked, and pretty much all of those cases are cases where where the MCN just had less good security than anything else like that. Yeah, Studio 71. Yep. Is this the stage that never ends? It'll finish eventually. Yeah. Like, overall, I think that MCNs have realized that they are a weak point. I mean, also, the business of MCNs is changing, right? Look at makers stepping back from having hundreds of thousands of channels to just having thousands of channels in their MCN. Look at the changes that, like, you're no longer required to have an MCN to do certain things, or MCNs no longer offer certain protections. They're really becoming more agencies and everything else like that rather than anything else like that. And I think that realistically, most MCNs MCNs just don't offer the value they used to back in the day when, you know, the only way you got advertisements was to be in an MCN, or you got, you know, special access to reduce your liability for copyright violations, or all these other things that have been changing, like, even in my time at YouTube in the past few years, have been, you know, pretty significant changes to the overall culture of YouTube. And it all comes down to the fact that basically MCNs are losing power as technical arbiters of access to YouTube features and gaining prominence as, you know, meaningful and helpful ways for people to gain access to, you know, larger sets of advertisers and sponsored deals and other things like that. They become much more of a business decision than they used to be, which I think is the right way to handle it. I don't think that you, like, the old way of MCNs was really a good way, and I'm happy to see that changing as we move towards you know, a different world. Whoa, what the hell? Oh, I thought that maybe that green thing was a good thing, but it's not. I don't know how popular this game was. I had heard of it when I was a kid, but not much else. I'd actually thought I had played it at some point, but I think I just confused it with Commander Keen. So I would have to Wikipedia to answer that question. There's always a million things to work on at YouTube. If you're bored at YouTube, it's because you're not trying hard enough. We've got a million different things going on at any given time. I've had like 3 different teams try to recruit me to, you know, have me help them with various projects they have going on inside YouTube and everything else like that. The gaming team has tried to pull me away a couple times, but I, like, you know, making the videos work is a very valuable thing to me. I really enjoy that job, and I'm happy to be doing it. All right, come here. Oh, shit nuggets. I didn't wait quite long enough. Alright. Oh, god damn it. Alright, so that's only 5 keys. I hope there's another one on that next tree. So, the reality is that that wouldn't work. Like, I am not going to say that YouTube will catch every spam account. I'm not going to say that YouTube is going to catch every spammer. I'm not going to say that you couldn't join a few, but it is absolutely the case that if you were to try and make 100,000 accounts on one, you know, account, then you would probably be figured out. You know, whether it's by your, you know, IPs in the back end, whether it's by anything else like that, YouTube is not great, but we're not that dumb. Alright, here we go. Yeah, so after this, I will switch to save stating to get my way through here if we don't finish this level. Alright. Is there another tree coming? No. Okay, so I'm missing a key. Great. And I have no idea where it is. Awesome. I have a lot of accounts. Yeah, so selling verification ticks is always like, this is one of those things that people are always like, why is that person verified and I'm not verified? And it's like, well, because the world is a sad and lonely place, and that's all I can tell you. Like, there's no good answer for that question oftentimes. Like, you know, to some extent, verification is a little bit of a scam. Alright, so shift 1 to save. Yeah, okay. Alright, time to save state our way to glory. As I said in the rules of Chris Plays Games, Chris is always watching, Chris is usually lurking, Chris is always right, and it's always Chris's fault, and Chris should always cheat. So all of those things are true, and so if you have any objection to them, now's the time to tell me. Is there a key down here? There's just like princess lady, but I said that. No, I mean, verification now is actually been kind of normalized. So if you don't have 100,000 subs, you don't get verified. And in fact, the process is pretty much entirely automated. I actually met the guy who automated that process at our internal corporate event in LA in June, and I explained to him that like 25% of the questions that come into partner support are still how can I get verified, because what you did was you automated the process to get it, but not the process to tell people they can't have it. And he was like, oh, that's a good point, which was very much like, seriously, you never thought about the fact that like people were still gonna want it even though the forum said they couldn't have it. You know, some people just don't. It's one of the conversations I routinely have is that like some people who work at YouTube just don't, you know, think about things in the way that I do, and I'm not sure if that's because I think about them in a way that is especially like thoughtful, or if like the average YouTube employee just doesn't really interact with other humans enough to think. I don't know. Software developers are weird. God damn it. Anyway, it's good to see Mike Eel, the gamer, and Keen Decker, two of my favorite people here in the YouTube gaming server, or in the Chris Plays Games channel right now. Both are streamers. Mike plays a lot of retro games, is an excellent Metroid player, at least when I watched him, so definitely check him out if you're into that. Hello, Lave! Happy Labor Day! Alright. We are monkeys. We are this kind of monkey. Boop. Anyway, also hello, Deliberately Creative. How are you? I was watching the art Sherpa earlier today. She was doing a still life painting, which is the first time I've actually seen her do something that I think would be described deliberately as still life, but fucking hell! Ugh! Alright. We're gonna die a couple more times, and then we're gonna go into tryhard mode. Actually, we're just gonna die. Now, let's start out with full lives. We're gonna do better. Error 500, not 501. Come on, give me some credit. I don't even know what 501 is. But yes, I have monkey stickers right now. Monkey stickers, monkey stickers. I'm actually probably gonna order like a whole bunch. I ordered 10 off of Redbubble, and I really like them, so I want to just give them out to everybody. But I realized that like buying like 50 from Redbubble would cost like, you know, like $50, and buying like 250 from a sticker specific location would be like $50. So. Oh, really? We don't have any. I don't think we have any 501 not implemented. Okay. Let us see what we can do here. Let us make it happen. I still need a Noogler hat. Yeah. Have I met any famous people because I work at YouTube? Trying to think. Who's the most famous person I've met? No, I don't think so. So if I was in the San Bruno office, I would have a lot more opportunities to do that, because they oftentimes have people come in who are, you know, relatively YouTube famous for their creator sessions. So like Rhett and Link, and I'm not coming up with anyone else. Oh, like the Epic Rap Battles guys who like Epic Floyd. They've both come to the office for our creator series, where they come in and they talk about their experiences on YouTube and everything else like that. But I am not in the San Bruno office, and so I do not get as much of an opportunity to meet people as that. I have met, let's see. I was near Swoozy at our internal work conference in LA. But he's not super famous, but some gaming people would probably know him. Yeah, so not really for me. Yes, it is, Leif. God damn it! Yeah, I mean, I've met One Shot Girl, but One Shot Girl to me is not really famous. I mean, this is a relative thing. I think of famous as being, you know, millions of subs. But yeah, so I've met One Shot Girl and Stat. I've met Game Dojo, like One Shot Girl, Stat, Game Dojo, you know, and other folks like that in the YouTube gaming space thing. Mystery Guitar Man, there you go. I think we actually had, what was it, Poppy? Poppy is like a weird phenomenon, right? Has anyone heard of this? It's like this girl who's like like just sits and stares at the camera while weird voices go on in the background. I don't really get it, but I guess it's a thing. I swear to God, I'm just gonna be stuck on this level all night long. Because even my plan to like not suck has been sucking. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've even had any interactions with more famous YouTubers. I got yelled at by somebody with, oh, like, I've been, like, retweeted by Hank Green and had a conversation with him via email afterwards because it was, like, an interesting topic to me, so. So Disguise Falling, the NES sound chip, as you'll find out if you listen to my Family Tracker video, has a specific channel which is noises. And the noises, basically there's a set of specifically like specifically created sounds that are assigned to the fourth sound channel on the NES. And so oh no, this is different. The feeding the gorilla sound is just like a normal instrument, isn't it? Yeah, so that's probably just the limitations of the sound chip itself. It doesn't have the ability to make a lot of different noises, so. Yeah, so like meeting Hank would be something I'd like to do. I have met icki, but again, not because I worked for YouTube specifically, just because I went to VidCon. And so like, icki, I always do that wrong. icki. So I met her because I went to VidCon and she just like had an impromptu like meet and greet and signature, and so like I took my first ever selfie with her in a line at VidCon. Ugh, god damn it! I hate these stupid floating things. Ugh! No, I haven't met Zaytonde. Yeah, Eldritch, I'm surprised you didn't know Eldritch Horror was a terribly long game. I learned that from the tabletop episode on it. So, icki is a vlogger. She does short films. She's been around since the early days of YouTube. She's a member of the board of directors for the Internet Creators Guild, and tends to be someone who a lot of people looked up to for things like that. She also, in like 2013, worked with Ray William Johnson on Riley Rewind, which is one of my favorite web series on YouTube. Is there a YouTuber I would like to meet? I would love to sit down with MatPat for an hour. Like that would be awesome. Like just to sit down for an hour with him, you know, and like a dozen other people and just like talk would be great. Cause I love, like he has a lot of stuff put together on how YouTube works and how he sees it working and everything else like that that is really kind of very methodically thought out, much more so than the average YouTuber. And because he does like consulting for a lot of different YouTubers, he has a much broader perspective than a lot of people. I do know some people think he's a little bit full of himself. So there is that aspect of it, but that isn't the thing that I particularly feel about him. I think that all of his kind of theories and everything else like that, and his general analytical state gives him some real, you know, benefit of the doubt there, because I think he does know a lot. I mean, he doesn't know as much as someone maybe who works for YouTube, but then on the other side, he actually sees the practical effects of how it works more so than the average person who works for YouTube. I think one thing to keep in mind is that people always think that like YouTubers have all the answers, but we don't have all the answers. We don't know anything. John Cooney, how's it going? Oh man, I was just thinking today, again, I have to, no, go down. I want you to go down. Oh shit, that tree is alive. Okay. Aha, the last key. Aha. I mean, I am full of myself, so anyone who thinks that about me would be entirely accurate, so... Shit! Stingray Gaming, I think I have heard of this guy called CPG you're talking about. I'm not sure, but maybe. So John, you should check out the Stats for Nerds display. if you right-click and look at stats for nerds, you should look at the latency number and tell me what you think of that. I mean, they got a big business to run. They got all those brushes now. Man, that's crazy. I just look around and I'm like, you know, some people just do things and I don't. But yeah, one thing that I wanted to do that John just reminded me of by being here is that there is a new tool that I found that actually does, is set up for, specifically for YouTube live stream Q&As. So what it does is it takes the entire chat stream and it puts it as like a clickable thing that you can have. So you can basically, like, I'm gonna pull this up real quick. Where is this link? I pulled it up earlier today, I think. Where are you? Where are you? I know I can see it through. Yeah, so if I push my Chrome button here, Chrome, and then open this in the right browser. So live chat question flagger, this is it, right? So basically, like, you get the whole live chat here that comes in as a thing. You then click on the question mark, and it makes it a question mark. And then it also has, like, a button you can click to say generate lower third. So this seemed like it would be good for John, who I know gets a lot of Q&A during his streams. If you can set this up publicly so your, like, mods and everything else like that can then, like, click on the question marks, then you'll get this series of questions, and you can flip through them and, like, pop them up at the bottom. And I thought that that would be a really good match for general Q&A streams, especially if you've got someone like a set of stunt hands who's taking care of taking the chat for you. And so, like, that is something that I am interested in trying out at some point. I have not tried it yet, but it is something that I wanted to try, and I think it would be really interesting. And the reason that I thought about that was because the new ultra-low latency feature that I am currently testing, and that we've been testing for quite a while here on YouTube, allows people to, like, have faster interactions, and so faster interactions makes it more appropriate for Q&A. Now, of course, it has the problem that when you have faster interactions, you also have more buffering, and so, like, when you have an audience the size of, like, John and Cinnamon's, it's not really necessary or even appropriate to use the ultra-low latency modes, but if you were going to do, like, a heart mail, you know, episode, it might be something to consider is like, oh, you know, we will have a little bit more buffering, but it's not going to be the same kind of tutorial style format. People can, you know, kind of come in and out, and it's going to be okay, and use the question flagger to kind of get involved there. Hello, Brad Pritchard, good to see you. Finally, I beat this level. If Soy Bomb is still here, now you know, the level is 1. Live integration. Yeah, no kidding. Uh-oh. My mom's mad at me, it sounds like. So yes, finally, after an hour, we beat the second level. So I think I'm gonna have to save state much harder. Alright, 2 keys right to start. That's good. It's a good start. 3 keys. I feel like this level is gonna be either very easy or there's some trick to it that I'm not understanding. I need 50 keys in this level? Are you shitting me? I only needed 6 on the other levels. Oh, I thought that was a good thing, but it's not. We're dropping bombs! Okay. I was like, there's no way! There's only 6! There's no 6! 6 is the number! Alright, I got 3 of my 6. But those 3 were really easy, which tells me that something here is going to be more difficult. There's just no way. I don't have a plan yet. I mean, my general thought was actually chat on, and then I would keep an eye on chat. So I'm always on IRC. So either doing IRC or hooking it up as a separate channel in my Discord. So people could always see the chat in Discord, even if they weren't talking in it via Discord. So just setting up, like, chat sync that way. And that way, it would be, like, you know, most of the time there's not going to be anybody there, but if anyone pops in, then you'll know, because you're in Discord, and it tells you, and so on and so forth. Do I think this game is any good? I think this game is fine. I don't think it's great, but it's a perfectly adequate platformer. I do it, like, I know that this is, like, super picky, but there's all these kind of visual artifacts on the right side of the screen from like palette square switching, and that bugs me. Like, it just feels sloppy, and I realize that like it's a trade-off for the other things they're doing. Like, I can see the trees are moving up there, and I know how hard something like that is to do on the NES. So it's clear that they put a lot of like thought and effort into it, but it just feels sloppy to me. Fuck! I need it to be up there, so. Yeah. Cawthor, good to see you. So yeah, it's a pretty run-of-the-mill platformer. You know, I would pay $3 to $5 for this on Steam today. So I think I would have been disappointed in this as a $50 game back in the day, but yeah, no, and again, I absolutely understand that there are trade-offs, right? Like, I'm literally talking about the trade-off between like having the trees move in the top and having the like palette switching stuff show up on the right. But like, you don't see that in Mario most of the time, right? Like, you don't see that in like a bunch of other platformers that you might have played. So it's not undoable, it's just a matter of trade-offs, and I tend to favor like a little bit less visually appealing a little bit less visual appealing stuff in favor of more polish. So I mean, my feeling, Jose, is that like having like a Nightbot command, which every 30 minutes says like, hey, I might not be here, but you know, you can keep watching or doing whatever else like that. And so in that case, I think that there's no reason to not have the chat be on. Fuck, I was hoping there might be another key hidden down there, but there was not. There's just a snail to kill me. So like, I have left chat on in my unlisted streams that I've linked and everything else like that, and people just kind of like, they tune in, they watch, whatever. I mean, I think that one of the things is that there is a legitimate fear of like, well, this will fall to Nazis if I allow it to, in popular YouTube chats. In unpopular YouTube chats, I think that's a less serious concern, but it is something that you have to kind of like keep in mind and consider, and I think that gets better if YouTube implements some kind of automatic Nazi filter. Which I think we should have. I think we should have better automated moderation, so. Hello, Nico! Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see what YouTube could actually do, or... Now, do you mod for, Julie? Oh god. Julie or Stat, are those the two I've seen it in? So I think it should come as no I think it should come as no surprise that automatic moderation is a thing that YouTube is not just considering but is actively working on. So it's been in testing for a couple months as on a bunch of channels, so I don't know what the people who are using it think of it yet, but I do know that if there's one thing that YouTube is good at doing, it is, like, that Google in general is good at doing, it's at taking a vast amount of training data and doing good things with it. And so I am hopeful that if YouTube is to implement an automatic mod setting, it can at least improve with time and data. That feels like a reasonable position to me. Do I call Stat that in person as opposed to Sterling? Yeah, absolutely. Oh no! Oh, I have to duck? Fuck. Sterling? A Sterling top. This guy here is Sterling. Gotcha. Yeah, so I think both Stat and Julie have had automod on for a while. I have to duck. I have to duck. I don't have to fuck it. I said, fuck! I have to duck? But you were close. You had the right idea. Points for, you know, creativity. Yeah, the other thing is I still haven't decided, Jose, if like the 24/7 drone stream is even a good idea. I don't know if my drone videos are actually interesting, right? Like, so, I mean, I can turn on drone videos here, and we can, you know, look at whatever this is, which I think is, you know, not that. Yeah, so like this is video of downtown Cambridge, but is that really interesting to watch? I don't know. That, by the way, is the hotel that Jess and I went to for our wedding reception, the Sheraton Commander. I mean, Jose, you say you're interested, but I have, I've run multiple, like, 24/7 drone live streams now, and you haven't showed up to them, so... That's true. It was 4 blocks from our church. Later in this video, I actually turned the drone to face there. Were you? Oh, I didn't see you. I must have been gone to bed. I'm just giving you shit anyway. Like, another thing is I've been doing them as unlisted to test it. So, like, I don't blame people who haven't been there. One thing that I'm concerned about is that, like, most of my older drone videos include a lot of me, like, walking around. Like, that is something I feel the need to filter out before I actually do the 24/7 drone stream, so. Oh yeah, so this was actually cool. They were, oh, no, we're not to that part. So there was like an Ultimate Frisbee League or something like warming up. And so if you look to the right here, you can see like all the people like tossing Frisbees because there was like there's like 30 people just tossing Frisbees back and forth. So, it's kind of cool. No charity drives hosted by YouTube. We're working on that. Now that we have Super Chat, there's some work around doing like Super Chat based charity drives where you'll be able to, you know, say, okay, like all donations via Super Chat will have no cut to YouTube, and we will like match them up to some amount per streamer or anything else like that. So, it's a consideration. No ETA, no plan, no anything else like that, but thinking about how we can do, you know, what we can do, how we can do it, like where the money comes from, because like YouTube gaming doesn't have like a massive budget to spend on things like that. So are there other groups in YouTube who are, you know, interested in supporting charity drives for specific causes or anything else like that? So like that's one thing about, like using Super Chat for charity is that, like, I mean, generally speaking, I'm willing to cover those costs out of pocket. And so when people, you know, donate to me, I'm like, okay, like I will give, you know, 100%, god damn it. I will give 100% of whatever you give to charity and use my employer match so it actually gets doubled. But that's not something that like works for most people, because it means that literally I'm paying an extra 30% out of pocket, and I can do that because I can do that, but most people cannot. Fuck! Alright, he hit me right under the spikes. And so one of the things is to figure out like who fronts the expenses, right? Because the reality is that Super Chat costs, I mean, I know that people get really upset about the like cut and everything else like that, but Super Chat costs like 15% of the donations. Like it's not that we're just evil assholes. A lot of that is just like the cost of running credit card processing and everything else like that, especially on small amounts. And so figuring out how to pay that, like YouTube giving up their cut makes sense, but we still have to pay the credit card companies, and so who's going to pay the bills and everything else like that becomes a real question. I don't know. I'm probably not going to do 24 hours on my own again. I really like the theoretical aspect of it, but it's not ever practical. I get like 90% of my donations in the first 12 hours, so maybe I'll just do 12. But I feel like sometimes the reason I get donations in the first 12 hours is because like people know I'm going to do 24, and I can't like decide how I feel about that. So I'm considering it, but haven't decided yet. Alright, I got 6 keys, so hopefully not like 50 like Brad said is what I need. Shit! I realized in time to pause, but not in time to do anything about it. Extra Life is the first weekend in November. You don't know any organizations that donate that help people with special needs? I mean, I think that there's people in this chat who can help you with that, Slim Gamerman. It depends on what you are thinking specifically of special needs, whether you're thinking of like disabilities, whether you're thinking of like autism, whether you're thinking of you know, people who need who have learning disabilities, you know, dyslexia, anything else like that. So I would say like if you look at there's websites out there that are really good at just like helping you find good charities. CharityNavigator.com I think has ratings, and there's probably others that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head that are good for that. But I think better messaging than special needs would actually be very helpful to help figure out like what is the most appropriate source for what you're looking for. There's like 3 extra keys at the end? Okay. Not all of them, Jess, but... I mean, isn't that true of all of the animals? There you go. Yeah, Nico is who I would look to for autism-related stuff. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely, I would say, listen to her advice. I would say, you should probably slightly bias, because that's the group you used to work for, right, Nico? Whoa! I can go underground! Awesome! But yeah, the key thing in understanding, you know, donating to charity is to understand, like, what is your goal? Is your goal to, you know, help improve the world for people who are suffering from a particular, you know, disease? Is it to have better, you know, legal protections for people? Is it to, you know, whatever else like that? So answering those questions for yourself is a really valuable thing, because then people will be able to help you more effectively understand the best source of, or best way to spend your money. Fuck! Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're looking at, right? So everyone has different requirements and needs, and you know, everyone should make their own decisions on how they feel it's appropriate to spend money. Oh shit. So I think right here, maybe. No. I am still amazed with how, like, this thing just floats. And, like, I looked at this and I was like, oh, it's not playing. It's, like, not a video. And then I realized that there are people down there that it is a video. So this is when I was introducing this group of kids that I'm standing near to the drone. They were walking by and saw me holding it, and they were like, oh, Mom, Dad, that's a Mavic Pro! And so, like, I flew it for them and then showed them, like, Boston and Harvard and everything else like that, so... Yeah, I mean, Autism Speaks is not a an organization that I would donate to if I was looking to support autism-related activities. In fact, it is somewhat to my chagrin that they are working, that Google's listing them as like a partner on the stuff they're working with them on like cloud genomics. It's somewhat frustrating to me, but oh shit. Okay, so the bottom is not the way to go. Oh god. Fuck. So Stingray, you can plug a phone or an iPad or whatever into it. So, yeah. So it doesn't have one built in, but you can still see it from that. And as a display that has information like your distance and your speed and so on, but no integrated video, and then you get video via your phone. I mean, TensorFlow I think is like it being what Google uses. In the same way that like MapReduce is what Google uses, gives it a huge cachet in the open source community. I think that it has most likely in the long term is going to be very much the winner, quote unquote, of the AI wars, because I think it's very hard to compete with that aspect of both cachet and the fact that I think it's a you know. All right, how do I? Okay. Oh god, don't hit spikes. Okay, so I've only got 3 keys, and this worries me because 3 keys is not enough. Shit! It makes me think that I'm probably missing some from earlier in the level, but... Oh god! Fuck! Short a key. I don't think that any deaf people are taking like you know, hammers and puncturing their kids' earlobes. I feel like little Nemo is not super good at kicking doors down. Just a feeling I've got. Oops. Okay, I guess that wasn't a fix. Alright, I'm gonna start this level over because I feel like I missed a key early on. Alright, 1 key. Hello, Celso Louise! I think she was referring to Jose's comment. I will say that like there's a lot of room for nuance that probably isn't extremely easy to come by in like YouTube chat comment system. So I think it is worth noting that there's probably strong opinions, and we should be cognizant of each other's boundaries on that. I don't want you all to hate each other because I like you all, so be cool. That's all I'm saying. Be cool. But I think also, Jose, it's worth noting that you wouldn't have children anyway. Like, I mean, not to, you know, say that that's a good or a bad choice, but it does probably influence to some extent how you look at things. Oh, fucking! Yeah, I understand you're not taking offense, Jose, but you are giving it, so you should be aware of that. Alright, are there any more, like, life things down here? Nintendo Hard is taking effect. Yeah, I mean, this game, like you said, like a couple people said, it's a hard game, so, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, so I think I think there's a lot of aspects where how you look at it versus how others look at it. Like, there are varying levels of it is important in my life to have children, and I think that different people look at it differently, which is just worth remembering. Okay, I need to be on the other side to get the frog. God damn it! The world is always broken. I think Jose's, one of the concerns that Jose has that is, like, a real problem at the moment and will not necessarily always be a problem is the, like, the climate change aspect at the moment is, like, a real problem, that we're looking at, you know, a whole lot of dead people in the near future, and a whole lot of people not willing to do anything about it, and I can see that as being a very frustrating position for us to, you know, have as a society, and hard to look at and say, like, yeah, I should bring more children into the world when that's the case, when children are going to exacerbate and contribute to that problem. Fuck spikes, man. Okay, so I looked pretty hard, and I only found 3 keys over there. Which makes me think that maybe there's only 3 keys over there. Stuck on 4 keys again. Where the fuck is the 5th key? The white jug gives me 1 life point. The first aid gives me 2. So, Super Fox 5, one of the things that I've had conversations about this a couple times in stream, and one of the things that I think is, like, not entirely clear is to what extent the issue is of, like, games had to be hard versus games just, like, were hard. You know, like, yes, I do understand that, you know, it is difficult to, in a world of small memory sizes and everything else like that, you know, it's much more difficult to create a game that is long, and therefore you might be tempted to make that trade-off. But overall, I'm not sure that that's the biggest issue. I think some of the issue is actually just that there wasn't a lot of experience in game development. So, Little Nemo, the Dream Master walkthrough. Proto Sam! Where's the 5th key on this level, Proto Sam? I can't find it. Alright, what is this? Night Sea. one of the interesting things with going through my old games that I've played and looking at all of them is just how many games I've played that I had totally forgotten about. So, like, I played Dead by Daylight at one point during a stream where I played a bunch of modern games after something else, which I'd totally forgotten about. Had forgotten I'd played Mini Metro on stream. Of course, there were some other, like, NES games that I played in the middle of some of my, like, shitty play all the NES games streams. Like, I played Chubby Cherub, which was an absolutely broken, like, unlicensed NES game. King of Kings, I actually remember playing, was a game, like a Bible adventure game where you had to answer Bible questions in order to get scrolls and, you know, fill it back up. MC Kids I played during my birthday stream in 2016, and I remember, just because, not that I remembered playing at the time, but I remember looking back at the stream afterwards and seeing that I had played it. And, you know, other things like that. But I've also, like, played through all of Lost Levels, and I guess I played it another time as well. Like Super Mario Brothers 2, the Japanese version. I've done Super Mario Brothers 3 with and without warps. I, like, just, you know, a handful of things that I had kind of forgotten I'd done, as I look back at all of the things that I've done. So it's been interesting to go back through my archives and find all of these things. I would never, ever in a million years have realized that dead end was a passageway. Not a single chance. Yeah. So, good job, GameFAQs. Appreciate it. Bad game design, Little Nemo developers. You can't just make a dead end passage go somewhere. That's not how it works. There's the key. 5 keys. And we are out of here. Yeah, like, seriously. This is a passage. Like, what? Ugh. Ugh. That's what I have to say to that. Let's get out of here. Alrighty, and 5 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. I've never watched AVGN. People ask me all the time, and I'm like, it's just about time, almost time for our CPG Rant of the evening. The CPG Rant of the evening is on the recent announcement by President Trump that he plans to, in 6 months, abandon the DACA program. So stay tuned for that. I'll give you about 9 minutes of my thoughts on that particular change. We've also going to continue to have... Oh, God. Oh, who are you? What do you got to tell me? Nemo, I think you're in your house. Okay. Yeah, I can tell that because it says Nemo's house at the bottom. We'll continue to have zebras. We'll continue to have drones. You know, and everything else that you might want tonight. So... We will be here all night long playing video games until we beat this silly game. I hope you're enjoying your Monday. I hope you enjoyed your Memorial/Labor Day. Labor Day, not Memorial Day. I hope you enjoyed your Labor Day. And I hope you're enjoying your time here with me, the Chris Who Plays Games. For those of you who might be new, I am the Chris Who Plays Games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15 and whatever I feel like every Friday at 9:15. Tonight we're playing Little Nemo the Dream Master from the NES era, a platformer that is decent. Overall, it's pretty fun. It has a few unfair moments that I'm not too happy about, but overall has been pretty reasonable. Fuck. The movie was better than the game. Yeah, it was also based on a Japanese movie, as I think we learned from Soy Bomb. Protosam, by the way, is another streamer here on YouTube Gaming, as well as on other platforms, I think. But on YouTube Gaming for sure, plays retro games as well, has a solid knowledge of wrestling in case you are that kind of person. Is a amateur wrestler himself. Is it amateur? Is that the right thing to say? Amateur wrestler himself. Comes from my home state, and I'm happy to have him here tonight. He actually was one of the people who mentioned that he was very excited about this game, so I'm glad you made it, Proto Sam. I almost tagged you specifically on Twitter just to make sure that you saw it, but I'm glad you made it here. Alright, is this down and out? Nope, okay. That was not the way to go, but... Oh, look, these are like giant stairs. Okay, I get it. I can't go that way either. Amateur pro? Oh, because pro wrestling is the type of wrestling, and so you're an amateur pro wrestler? Indie wrestler? I don't know what to say, like, you know, you're not gonna see him on WWE, but he's also, like, not Greco-Roman, so... Okay, so how do I get over here? Fuck. Proto Sam wrestles, yeah. Well, I said if you predecease me, then I will just put the Buddy Christ on your gravestone. I figured it would be an effective approach to ensuring that you don't predecease me. I mean, you can't have it without tacky colors. What, you think I'm just gonna have this nice white stone, you know, Buddy Christ? No, no, no. Don't be ridiculous. Fuck. I'm sorry to hear that, Sam. Hopefully, it's not YouTube that's making your life hard in that dimension and something else instead. I mean, I assume it's YouTube related, but... Take care, Keen Decker. Thank you very much for stopping by this evening. Have a lovely night. Alright. I don't like these monkeys. Do I go down here? I'm gonna need 7 keys, it turns out. 7 keys. Alright, can't get up there. I need like a bee or something. Oh, lizard will do. Oh, seriously? I was like down off that. Whatever. Whatever. Stupid game. Do whatever you want. Oh, and the bee. Oh, yes. No, I definitely had the same problem. Like, 240p is, I guess, just like a weird non-format. And so, like, there's a lot of the, like, capture cards don't do it. And I found it very frustrating because I was trying to do an N64 at one point and I had the same problem where it's like you have to buy an upscaler and then the upscaler I bought didn't work and I was just like, oh, seriously? Like, what is this freaking world? And what am I supposed to do to fix? And then all of the information out there is terrible. Like, some people just want it to work on their TVs and so they're like, oh, well, it works fine for me. And I'm like, no, but you don't get it. I need it to be like a thing that is standards compliant so it works with my, you know, El Who's a What's It 1873 because nothing else actually captures analog video formats anymore because everything's HDMI now and it so sucks. Yeah, so when I tried to capture, I think at some point I got the N64 to the point where it would capture as like a scrolling black and white screen and that was it. Like you would get on old analog TVs when you failed to tune the channel correctly. Yes, this has very much a DuckTales feel, especially at the Transylvania level. I totally agree. This mouse appears to have a hammer. Okay, so he can cling to walls. He has a hammer. He got me hit. Oh, he has 5 life points, which is good. Well, the mouse doesn't have a hammer. There's just a hammer near him that I can use because he's a mouse. It is not a super effective hammer, but it's better than nothing. Fuck you! Gotcha. Yeah, I gave up. Alright, so that death was my signal. It is time for the CPG rant of the evening. So sit back, enjoy yourself, and listen to me tell you about the cruelty of the US government. We'll be back in about 9 minutes with more retro gameplay. So thank you very much for being here, and enjoy this rant. Donald Trump's decision to eliminate the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, the DACA program, the Dreamers, the children who have been in the United States for years, amounts to nothing more than a cruel punishment for those who trusted the government to have their best interests at heart. I'm the Chris who plays games, and this is your CPG rant of the evening. Recently, Donald Trump announced that he will defer for 6 months the decision or action to eliminate the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, the program under which more than 1.7 million immigrants were eligible to apply for a deferred action on their citizenship status from the U.S. government. The program, instituted in 2012, was absolutely critical to protecting these people from enforcement activities from immigration officials, and was a strong signal from the government that they believed that immigration law in this country could use work. And that when that work was done, the people who had been here and were brought here as children who had no influence on their choice to become undocumented immigrants, the people who had been here and been performing well, the people who had been here and been working and in school and other things like that, would not be the first enforcement priority, would not be the type of people that would be deported. This promise gives the people who applied to this program a more dangerous position. They said to the government, here I am. Please review my status and let me stay. I believe that I am a functioning member of society. I believe that I am helpful and positive. I believe that I am all the things that you want in an American citizen. Except for being an American citizen. I would like to stay here and be here. I would like to participate in paying taxes. I would like to participate in contributing to Social Security, even though I know I get nothing out of it. I would like to have a job and become a contributing member of society. But I can't. I can't, because to turn in my paperwork, to get a driver's license, to get other things like that, I would have to give the government information that I am scared if they have, they will use against me. And as a country, we said, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to have people trying to fly under the radar. It doesn't make sense to eliminate these people from having access to services and other things like that just because their parents brought them over a long time ago. They've been living here their entire lives. It doesn't make sense to put them at risk for something they had no control over and no power to decide. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to make this an immigration priority. These people who had never committed crimes, these people who've gone now through a vetting process, these people who have applied and paid hundreds of millions of dollars in total to say, look, I'm really not a bad guy or girl or whatever. And now we plan to shit all over that. And because of that trust that was placed in the US government to not use this information to the detriment of the people who are applying, these people are now screwed. Because in any immigration case, it's the job of the government to prove that you are not a citizen. It's the job of the government to prove that you are who they say you are. Because it is the case that many people born in this country don't have documentation that says they're U.S. citizens. Many people born in this country who are U.S. citizens don't have a passport or other documentation demonstrating that. And it is the job of the government to show it. But for the 715,000 plus people who have been part of the DACA program, they've given that information directly to the government. They gave that information to the government in a good faith expectation that it would not be used against them. And of all the things, of all the aspects of the elimination of the DACA program that makes me sad, the biggest one is that level of cruelty. The level of cruelty that requires taking something said by the government, a promise made to people that, look, we're not going to hurt you with this. We just want to help you and help ourselves and create this program. Then taking that, and now what we're going to see is these people being hit over the head with it and deported because they were the ones who were trying to do the right thing. They were the ones who were using the existing government programs to reach out and say, I would like to stay here. They were the ones using that good faith judgment and believing that the government of this country was good enough that it would find a way to protect them, good enough to ensure that these people would not be deported unnecessarily and cruelly from their jobs and from their homes that they've known their whole lives. People who have arrived when they were 3 years old and have no immigration status in this country because they were brought here when their parents and who lived here since that time are being sent back to countries where they have no home and no family. And now, if the DACA program goes away, we'll see even more of this. We will see people who were brought here as children and have known no other home in their entire lives deported to countries that they have no family, that they have no resources, that they have no place to go. All because they believed that when someone said, look, we really don't think that you're the worst guys out here, they believed them. That level of lack of trust, that level of impact on people will ruin the reputation of the government for decades to come in any matters related to immigration. You will see no cooperation, you will see no improvements, and when we do pass immigration reform, which we will have to do, what you will see is that it will not be as effective because the promises that the government makes are no longer worth the paper they're written on. Full faith and credit to the United States, says our money, means almost nothing at this point. The reality is that full faith and credit to the United States appears to be at the whim of the executive, appears to be at the hands of people who change every 4 to 8 years, appears to be powered by people who have no conscience and no guilt over the fact that they are destroying the reputation of our government and our interaction with the people for decades to come. It is the fact that people will never again believe that the government has their best interests at heart after experiencing this type of terrible action or statement by the government. Now Trump has said that he's giving it 6 months, presumably with the hope that Congress will do something, or perhaps with the hope that they won't, and he can blame them. I don't even know. But what I do know is that this action to be performed by President Trump is absolutely going to harm our interactions with immigrants, all immigrants, documented, undocumented, around the world for decades to come, because it is no longer the case that the government of the United States can be trusted with regard to immigration matters. You can't be sure that anything that is done will not just go away the next time someone changes office. And the idea that anything can stop that at this point, it's too late. It's now done. Even if Congress does pass the legislation which implements something like the DACA program, even if the Congress took up the DREAM Act that was attempted to be passed in 2015 and passed it, even if comprehensive immigration reform came tomorrow, that cost would already be spent. You can no longer trust the government. And that's a terrible thing. That's terrible because it means that people who see crimes committed in their communities will be less willing to bring them to authorities, because people who live in work and do anything else like that will no longer be willing to do things like pay taxes or participate in the workforce that we want them to be in. The reality is these people are here and have been here forever. Immigration, the undocumented immigrants in this country have been steady for decades. The only reason that we have a vast quantity of long-term undocumented immigrants here is because of the refusal to accept any kind of changes in how we manage immigration for decades. The average person who has been in the United States as an undocumented immigrant has been here for something like 14 years at this point. They live here. They are citizens of the United States in all but name, people who support this country more than many people who are citizens here and are absolutely doing their best to make the lives of people around them better. And sure, Not every single person out there is going to be perfect. In fact, more than 10% of people who applied to DACA were rejected based on some criteria or another, but that does not mean that the 750,000 people who applied, went through a rigorous application process and review process, have committed no criminal acts, participate in education or the workforce, are bad for this country. The idea of that is simply insane. And to eliminate them, to deport them, to remove their deferred action with no further work on immigration is simply an act of cruelty. But I guess that's what we should come to expect from this government. I'm the Chris who plays games. This is your CPG rant of the evening. And we're back. Back to more Adventures of Little Nemo in Dreamland, or whatever it's called. Ah, stupid slug. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know if you stuck around, but, oh, Jim Halfpenny, I don't know if you stuck around, but every night when I stream at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, I take a break to give you a little bit of a piece of my mind on something or other. Oftentimes it's about things about YouTube, sometimes it's things about politics, sometimes it's things about video games. I tell it all here and more. Most recently, we actually had a CPG rant by Mrs. CPG, my lovely wife, on the choices of Houston and how they impacted the flooding that they are currently experiencing now, the lack of any type of city planning or otherwise in Texas contributed significantly to the flooding and status there as development has continued unabated and so on and so forth. Paul, you've really got to stop just saying random words. You just got to stop. Like, use a full sentence, actually. That's going to be the rule. You got one more chance to make a full sentence, otherwise we're going to have to take more drastic action in reply here. Response, whatever. Unfortunately, I died and I need the Hornet again, and the only way I can get the Hornet is to go back through here to get the Lizard again. Hey, Max Joseph. Oops. Hello, Logan. Alright, I got a key. I have full life, so I don't need that med kit. I don't know why I'm leaving it there, like I'm gonna come back for it or something, but whatever. I could. It's one of the things I've continued to try and figure out. I mean, one reason is just that podcasts take time. You know, and I'm not sure that the rant content is sufficiently well produced to really make it worthwhile as a podcast. I, at least in the podcast that I listen to, set a very high bar for myself of the quality of content. When I listen to Roman Mars and 99% Invisible, or I listen to Ear Hustle, or anything else like that, it's definitely something that I look around and say, okay, like, does this meet the standards of what I would listen to as a podcast? And I don't think my rants do. They're somewhat thoughtful, but they're not at the same level. So I just missed a key. Well, so there's a key like on the other side of this wall, I think. Or no, there's a key on the other side of this wall, but I can't get through here. So I think that's what I need the mouse for. It's gonna be my guess. Does Maine have recreational weed legalized now? Sean Cooney, I am not so crazy as to be a Bitcoin supporter. I did buy $15 worth of Bitcoin at one point. It was 10 Bitcoins, and I sold it when they were $1,300 a piece. No, $130 a piece, not $1,300. I sold it when they were $130 a piece, giving myself a return on investment of like 990%. A lot of people ask me, like, aren't you upset that you, like, sold Bitcoin when the price was still, like, not as high as it is now? And I'm like, nope. I sold before, like, the market speculation crash, before the Mt. Gox bullshit, before everything else like that. So I sold, as far as I'm concerned, at a perfect time. I did not have to deal with any of that bullshit, and I am super happy about that. While it is true that today those 10 Bitcoins would be worth like $40,000, I still think that I got exactly what I needed out of Bitcoin at the time when I needed it, and I have been perfectly happy with that decision ever since. Yeah, our dispensaries are not available to anyone other than medical patients, so... Alright. I have a problem. Fuck. Okay, somewhere is there a hornet in here? Now let's hope he can actually reach up there. I think I should be able to go right here. Uh-oh, I missed a key. Crap. Okay, that's 6. You can play video games, Logan Pauler. That's what I do. Okay, so... fly left along the square blocks. Eventually come to a large green door. Oh, there's a green door. Aha! A key! Now, the question is, with my one thing of life left, am I going to be able to make it to the end of the level? And the answer is no, I am not going to be able to make it to the end of the level. So now the question is, am I going to be able to make it back to the end of the level with my one life left? Anyway. So as I was saying earlier, I just recently finished a book called Lassoing the Sun on the future of America's national parks. It has inspired me that I really want to go back to national parks again. So when I was growing up, I did a lot of travel to national parks. I've been to Grand Tetons, and I've been to Glacier, I've been to the Rocky Mountains, I've been to Smoky Mountain, I've been to all kinds of different national parks. But since I became an adult, I have done very little travel to national parks. My lovely wife was not raised camping like I was. As a sibling, 17 years younger than her next youngest sibling, she did not have her parents had already moved on to the no, we're not going camping phase of their life by the time she came around. Which means that she did not have those same experiences as I did of going to national parks and camping in a tent and everything else like that. So it's something that I want to do, but I need to find a way to do it that actually makes both of us happy and not just me and not just her. And so that's, oh, fucking hell, you stupid hornet, you're like walking towards me? What's up with that? And so, like, I really want to find out how to do that. Now, one thing I will say is that many national parks have, you know, it's not like you can't be near a national park and stay in a hotel. It's not like you can't, you know, do day trips and still have room service. One problem, of course, is that in the Northeast, there aren't a lot of national parks. Where the national park system was established in 1909. And so as a result, it has... I hope those blocks are destroyed. Of course they're not. So I've got to go be the frickin' mouse again. Alright, let's go be the mouse. Wait! I only have one key. What? Oh, Jesus Christ. I have to get all the keys again? Wait, no. What? Oh, right. I only have one key because I used all the other ones on the door. I was like, what the fuck? Okay. Hello, Chrissy! So the first national park was established in 1872, but I think the National Park Service was in 1909? Or something else like that? I could be wrong, too. But yeah, so the first national park was Yosemite, right? Yeah. Yeah, so finding the badass fancy cabins is the thing that I've got to do. So when Jess and I went to my brother's wedding in Kentucky, they had kind of two options to stay. They were staying in a small town in Kentucky that's known mostly for rock climbing. And so, like, there were two options, and one option was staying in cabins, and one option was staying in, like, this kind of cheap, rundown-looking motel. And having had experience with fancy-ass cabins, I was like, okay, like, cabin, that seems like a good idea. But it turned out that this cabin was not a fancy-ass cabin. Now, if you're used to camping, it's fine, right? Like, it was a perfectly fine, like, converted barn type feel. It was, you know, it had beds, it had an AC, it had electricity, it had all these other things. But the beds were kind of like, you know, you had to pay extra every night for sheets. You were, like, the front door did not have a handle, it was just a padlock. The bathroom in there was not protected by an actual door, it was just protected by a, like, piece of plywood on hinges. And so for Jess, who's used to a hotel, or even for me, who was expecting something a little bit less rustic, that was not exactly what we were expecting, and we ended up being a little bit disappointed by the accommodations. Yellowstone, of course. I said Yosemite. Yosemite and Yellowstone, I know one's in California, one's not. Like, because it's in, like, Wyoming/Montana or whatever, but I always screw that up. Okay, that was not the way we were supposed to go. So the one cabin experience that Jess has had so far is not a particularly great one, and so convincing her to partake of another cabin-based camping-ish experience, I fear may not be as easy as 1, 2, 3. Even though, as I said, I've stayed in cabins a couple times. I was more of a camping person. There's no doubt. Like, I'm mostly a tent camper, but I've done some things like that, and I was a little bit surprised. So. Well, I think that your response after the first cabin was, "I'm never staying in a cabin with you. I'm never trusting you about cabins again." So, A B C, I tell you the do re mi, ba da ba da ba da 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 da. I have no idea what we're talking about. So the only problem with RV stuff is that, like, I don't think I could actually drive an RV. I very much like my small car. So I think that there would be other problems for other people in my family, but, you know, for me, I would love to, like, try an RV experience at some point. I've basically never had one. Oh, please go. Okay. Let's go. Oh, shit. Okay. Confused. Oh, okay. Oh, fuck nuggets. Yeah, see, I've never driven anything bigger than, I mean, granted, I drove a Ford Aerostar for a while, which is not a tiny car, but it's also not an RV, so. It was just, I mean, like I said, if you're used to camping, it was a totally reasonable cabin. If you're used to hotel service, it was not what I was expecting. That's all there is to it. What? Okay. That didn't go exactly how I expected to. I drove a 1987 Cadillac Seville for a little while, which, by the way, I love that car. But it was probably the smallest Cadillac ever built, so that didn't really teach me how to drive big cars. I bought a hatchet because you all wanted a fire. How are we gonna make a fire with just, like, logs? That's not how you make fires. Okay. I think I hit spikes again. Oh, speaking of The Shining, I had previously said that the hotel that I went to in the White Mountains was used as the basis for The Shining. This is not something that I made up on my own. I have found many references on the internet which confirm this general misconception. However, the hotel in which The Shining was based on is actually the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, which looks very similar but is different. And so my statement to that effect was wrong, and I apologize for misinforming my lovely viewers. Okay, what am I supposed to do here now? Oh god. That didn't go so well. Yes, that's correct, ArcDK. I think glamping would be something that we should explore. So, like, I grew up with very much not glamping, right? Like, I grew up, like, I went backpacking and I did all this other stuff. But there's two things. One, I am not the person that I was when I was 12 years old, shocking though this may be. Even my standards have changed. And two, I think that, like, it would be something that Jess might enjoy. One of the problems that we've always had in talking about camping is that Jess's view of camping is that it should be like, you know, her view of camping, or camping. Her view of setting up a tent from basic training, and my view is that that is not what camping is like. You don't march 22 miles, or, you know, 12 miles in a day carrying 70 pounds of gear on your back. You drive to your campsite, you set up the tent that you have, and that's about it. You don't have some of this, you know, oh, you know, we're training you to be in a military thing. That's not what it is. So this has been a point of contention for us for a while. I know, like, so just like the ocean, I like the mountains. Like, this is an issue, but I just want to see more. At one point, my mom wanted us to like climb to the top of the highest peak in every country, or in every state. That we were gonna climb, like, we climbed Mount Elbert, and she climbed Mount Washington with my youngest brother. And, like, that we were going to do this for every state. We were going to climb to the highest point. And, while it didn't actually happen, like, some of the aspects of that thought process, some of the aspects of the like, oh, let's, you know, look at something in every state or anything else like that definitely appeals to me. Especially after, like I said, reading this book, where a guy went to a bunch of different national parks and just saw, like, all of these completely different things, right? You know, he went from everything from the Flight 93 National Monument in Pennsylvania. He went to the national park in like Hawaii's volcano, and did all these other things. And it's just like a reminder that there's so much variation in the, like, U.S. national park system that I very rarely, like, even though I've traveled to a lot of different things, I've traveled mostly to things that are, you know, accessible from Illinois, which means I've done a lot of travel across, like, the Midwest and the Rockies, but have done nothing in, you know, the South West. Arizona and the Grand Canyon and other things like that are not places that I've been, and are places that I would like to go. So I want to get out there and do more. So where is Whitney? Is Whitney in I don't know where Mount Whitney is. No, I'm not even gonna guess. So, hey, look, keys. Excellent. She was actually, Matu's, talking lower 48. So, I have been to Garden of the Gods. I've actually done mountain biking in Garden of the Gods. But yeah, no, we climbed Mount Elbert, which was 14,440. $14,439 is apparently what they call it now. Yeah, no, I have. So because we've been all through, like, Tennessee, Kentucky, you know, other things like that, as part of, like, Smoky Mountains or going to my uncle's house in North Carolina. Like, we've made stops in that area at various times. Yeah, but just because I'm from Chicago, remember, there's a north of I-80 and south of I-80 separation to Illinois. Coming from Chicago and going to, you know, Carbondale are not connected. And even the fact that I have been to, like, stayed at UIUC doesn't mean a whole lot in that context, because UIUC is still, you know, not a lot on its own. Yeah, so Matus, so I did a bunch of climbing when I was in the Boy Scouts in Philmont, and so we did a set of hikes when I was at Philmont, so it's in New Mexico, and we were at one point hiking up a mountain that was Mount Phillips, maybe. And so we were at like 11,000 feet, and then like there's this like super high airport that we could look down on and see planes taking off, and they just had this super long runway because it was so high up that there wasn't a lot of air. So yeah, Mount Phillips I climbed over, and it is 11,742 feet. But yeah, so the one in Philmont was a little bit strange just because the airport was also at like, you know, 10,000 feet or something like that. And so people who know more about planes than I did when I was 15 were commenting on how long the like takeoff and landing rolls were compared to what they're used to, because, you know, when you're that high up, you've got a long runway because you don't have a lot of air pushing against your plane, so. I gotta have the mouse. Oh no, I missed a key on the other side. Shit. Alright, well, I'm probably gonna have to start over, but so it goes. But yes, I was also an Eagle Scout, John. Something that I am sure that you will find of no surprise. In fact, 3 other members of the YouTube Quality of Experience team that I work on are also Eagle Scouts, which I found a little bit surprising, but not really in hindsight. I think that the Eagle Scout mentality and the, like, you know, would be hired by the Google hiring process bits are not particularly distinct. I think that, you know, many of the aspects of being googly, the you know, word that describes what Google would like its employees to be, are very much the types of things that you would find in Eagle Scouts. So that's true. I still am an Eagle Scout. I have not turned in my Eagle award out of spite like many people have. I considered it at one point. You know, a lot of the Boy Scouts positions are not ones that I agree with. Positions on, you know, transgender scouts and scout leaders and other things like that have been problematic at times, but yeah, so that's definitely like when we climbed, you know, when we climbed Mount Elbert, there was definitely some of, god damn it. How many keys are there in this level? 7 keys, okay. So there's one that I missed on the far side here, which I guess I'll get a chance to go back and get. I'm not gonna save though, I'll die and I'll start over, so. Well, that's one of the reasons why I didn't, right? Is that, like, I fully understand that the Boy Scouts, while there is a national organization, is also really just a sum of its troops. And while there are some troops that probably do not, that have ideals that I explicitly disagree with, there are also many troops that I have ideals that I am sure that I would have no problem with. And to punish the entire org on that basis is kind of like, you know, kind of shitting all over the process that I experienced at the time. Okay, I've got to switch to the B for that. Okay, so come up, get the frog, come down, get the key, come up, get the B, kill those apes, and then go up. And so, like, I I know that my troop was open to people who were, you know, atheist, and open to people who were, you know, whatever. I don't think like being gay would have mattered in our troop. So even though I know that the National Org took positions that I disagreed with, like to give up my Eagle Scout award would have been, when I know that my troop would not have agreed with those positions, is like, it feels a little bit like shorting them for something that is not, you know, the same. And I realize that maybe that's a rationalization, but overall my feeling is that as a set of troops, you should really oftentimes judge the Boy Scouts based on your experience, not based on the National Org. Oh shit, I killed my bee. Well, that is not what I meant to do. Oh, but somehow the monkeys are gone. Oh, well, hello monkeys. Thought the monkeys were gone. Alright. Does my bee come back? Yes. Grab that key. Alright, doing good. Yeah, and so, like, even though ours was technically in an Episcopalian church, and there was also one that was based out of the Catholic church in town, and, like, I was raised Catholic, I joined Scouts at the Episcopalian church because that was the group that more fit my ideals, and that comes back down to the, you know, everything from, you know, gender-related ideals to everything, really is different between the two, so... Oh, shit. Alright, Frog. Let's do our stuff. Fuck. Alright, is there... No. Oh, no! Ah, fuck! I had alt-tabbed out of my game somehow, and was still... none of my save states went through. Alright. That's fine. I'm right here. It's fine. We're all good. Stupid. Stupid. Here, since this part's gonna be boring, we'll put on some extra drone footage. Yeah, so this is actually the first time that I can remember, as far as I can tell from looking through my footage, that I've flown at this particular school. So the school down at the end of our block, called the Morse School, and there is a baseball field and stuff down there, and so I went over there and flew around my drone for a little bit. So you can see me like playing around with this cone and stuff like that. Nothing very interesting, but it does give you a slightly different perspective of some of the same shots that you're used to, because it's not very far from the park where Hawk vs. Drum was, and where I do a lot of my flying. But yeah, so overall, Scouts is really what you make of it, what the troop you find is, you know, other things like that. Camping is something that I did as a kid, but I think that I am ready to try some, you know, glamping and see if that works out for both of us. I think there's lots of really interesting things to see in the world that I've seen at national parks. I think, for example, you know, the glacier in Glacier National Park will not be there for much longer, even to what extent it is still there at all. I mean, I remember going in what, 2000 or 1996 or 8, and even at the time it was melting, and now, you know, sometimes in the summer there's just like nothing left of the glacier in Glacier National Park, which is really sad. I mean, that's one of the pictures that I, you know, remember taking where, you know, my dad and I took it together, and I ended up with something that really came out with that postcard-like look, was taking a picture of the glacier in Glacier National Park from the, you know, bottom of the trail where everyone takes it. There's like this very still lake slash pond, and you can take a picture and see the whole kind of mountain range reflected in the picture. And I remember taking that picture and just being like, you know, it was really cool. It came out really well, and I was really happy with it. And that's a picture that you won't be able to take anymore in the future, and that makes me sad. All right, screw you. I got my key. That's all I wanted. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problems, right? Like, even if you join a good troop to begin with, it can also over time adjust to be less good, less a fit for your needs, less a fit for whatever else like that, whether it's personal or anything else like that. And that's hard. And oftentimes there aren't a ton of groups around for you to choose between, so you just kind of got to deal with what you can get. Makes it hard, no doubt. Alright, avoid the floaters. God damn it. Well, I didn't take any damage, but... try this again. I love playgrounds. It's one of the things that I really love filming. Just makes me happy. I'm still practicing kind of these slow pans, so that's like very much been a goal for me. Obviously one of the things I have to get used to is like when I'm done with a shot, I need to pause before I immediately zoom into another shot. That's something I should really do. Okay, now we're back. We're back to where we haven't done yet, so we'll make this smaller again. I can figure that out. There we go. Alright, I'm a buzzy bee. Shit. I am not a buzzy bee. God damn it. Oh, but I think I just did. Yes, I did. Alright, extra life. Kumo! Welcome to the stream. Well, that's what we specialize here in Chris Plays Games. Games that you haven't played since you were a small child. Alright, I'm still a bee, so I don't need that. Fly up here. See if I can find a key. Alright. How have I been? I am just peachy keen. Today was Labor Day, so I spent some time out flying my drone. You got some drone footage in the bottom or the upper right corner there. Although that one is from yesterday. So I've been organizing a lot of my ancient drone footage this week to try and look and see what I've got. So one of the things I've realized is I have about 40 hours at this point of recorded drone footage, even excluding a bunch of stuff that I know that I had at some point and have lost because I have almost no... Like, I don't have the flight where Hawk vs. Drone was. Like, I have the 1 minute of video I clipped out of it, but not, like, a longer timeline. So, somewhere that footage must have existed at one point, and I've lost it. But even so, I have 40 hours of drone footage, so I've been trying to figure out if there's anything interesting I can do with that. I've also been kind of reminded about some of the fun that I had flying drones. So, I did all kinds of, you know, different locations or flying the same spot at times. It's amazing to me that I was able to produce anything decent with my old drone that didn't have a gimbal, just because of how much it bounced around, which is something that I hadn't actually realized in my, you know, experience is like, now that I have this, you know, nice drone, like, I know it's nicer, but I didn't realize how much nicer until, like, I was trying to watch some of my old footage and went like, holy crap, that's bouncy. And so, you know, it's kind of impressive that I was able to make any good videos at all, given that. So if we go here and then do that. So like this is like a not too bouncy part. on a pretty good day, but you can see like it's tilted, it's bouncing around, and this is like sitting still. Like this is as still as video gets. And so like that's not too bad. But then you open up something on like a more, windy day or something else like that. And like it's just a mess, right? So like all of your video ends up being this very, very shaky mess. And I just hadn't actually realized that compared to drone footage that looks like this, like the drone just sits there and everything looks good. And so like this shot compared to, something like this is like, wow, it's no wonder like my new drone feels so much more impressive. And then on some of my shots, like it's just way worse. Like I don't have them organized by amount of bumpiness, but some of the shots are just like terribly bumpy. Yeah, like this, like just sitting here, like this is just hovering, and that's as steady as it's gonna get. In addition to the like quality difference in the camera and everything else like that, like how do you make a good video out of that shot? But you look at this shot and you're like, oh, yeah, that's a nice shot. So that's the BU Bridge in Boston, which they just did a bunch of construction on, looking over towards Boston from the Moore School. Yeah, one thing I actually realized is I did not fly a drone at all during 2016. Despite owning, I think at the time, 5 in various states of disrepair, I did not fly one at all. So that was an interesting realization for me to make. I had not actually realized that. So, alrighty. So generally speaking, drones are actually super easy to fly. There's very little that you have to worry about. They practically fly themselves these days. So I've commented like that my feeling is that my drone is less of a RC device and more of a flying tripod. It will not let you fly into objects that are in front of it. It will not let you fly it, into... so you can't fly it into objects in front of it. You can't fly it, because it will just prevent you. You can't do... Like, if it's landing too fast, it will stop. If it's, if you're trying to bring it down, like, it won't let you turn off the motors while you're flying it. And so if you're flying in if you're trying to fly around trees or something, then yeah, sure. Like, there's still a risk that, you'll fly it into something or something like that. But if you're just flying it, like, in a big open field, or the thing will just fly up to 400 feet. There's very little at 400 feet to get in the way. And if you take your hands off of it, it will just hover wherever you've left it last. So it is really impressive how drones these days almost like fly themselves. There's very little you have to worry about or do or think about. It's essentially just a flying tripod, and it really makes a huge difference. So in the old days, yeah, there was a lot more to it. It would... Oh, shit! That did not work out. You would have to think about it or anything else like that, but... But yeah, so like you can look at like my various footage. Another thing is, of course, is that the cameras have gotten better. So if we compare, that was like my first drone, which was using basically a GoPro 2 board. And if we go to like 2015, when I was shooting with a GoPro, you can see, well, we don't need the sound here. There we go. Turn that off. So this is using a GoPro and also using a, like a 2-axis gimbal rather than a 3-axis gimbal. So this was my Discovery Pro. and gives you these much nicer shots. Not quite as good, but the other thing about this is that the GoPro, just like by default, was shooting in a wide-angle lens, which is really good if you can't be looking at what's coming out of the picture, but not as good if you're like trying to get good kind of cinematic shots. So this is like GoPro 3 flying on a 2-axis stabilized gimbal. What you will see, and not so much in these pictures, but in some pictures, is that you'll get more of this kind of left-right camera shake because it didn't have stabilization in that direction. And then the other camera that I was using at the time was this one. So this camera was built into the drone, so it had the 3-axis stabilization, but you can see, you probably can't see it in the 720p video, but this picture is just super, like, it's only like a 10 megabit per second source video, and so this picture is very, like, got a lot of artifacts in it, especially like the colors and everything else like that. Like everything moving fast ends up having these kind of like heavy pixelation artifacts. So this is the Phantom 2, which technically would have been an older camera than the GoPro, even though I was flying with it later. But you can see that, you know, it's still got that nice stabilization, but with a worse camera. And then of course we can go back to my modern camera, which is just like, you can't even tell the thing is moving. So yeah, it really is the fact that like modern drones are just magic. So this camera is actually not doing anything like that. So the camera in the Phantom or the Mavic is not doing any kind of post like digital stabilization or anything else like that. It is a 4K camera. I am shooting at 4K. Everything there is physical stabilization using hardware. What they've done though is that they have, oh shit, which one did I miss? Oh right, I went and got the extra life but not the key. But what they have done is they've separated all of the camera hardware from the like all of the processing and everything else like that, and put it inside the drone rather than on the camera board itself. Or rather, the camera board itself lives inside the center of the drone and not out on the part that wiggles, right? Not on the part that's attached to the gimbal. And that makes a huge difference because it means that they've basically got this tiny little miniaturized like lens that hooks back via cables to the rest of the drone, and everything else that's there that's it. Which means you get tiny little motors. You can do ultra fast stabilization because you've got like the tiny little motors can move it around very quickly. And so that I think is a huge difference that they've made. Oh, that was dumb. Take care, Max Joseph. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a good first week of school, most likely. It's been great to have you around, and I look forward to continuing to see you on Friday. But yeah, basically my position is that the Mavic Pro is very much the culmination of everything that DJI has been working on in their entire series of drones. So they very much have done all of the work to try and get to a point where, you know, drones are no longer about flying RC vehicles and are very much like, yeah, I just have a flying tripod. I think that was a deliberate attempt, and I think that the Mavic Pro is the first time they've really achieved that. And the integration, the controller, the distance, like, you know, it used to be that I would get to a point where I couldn't see my drone and had to return to home it or do anything else like that a lot more often, and now I've got, you know, the iPad, and I've got, you know, these things that work really well. So it's really, they've done a great job. Uh-oh. The truth is, my father, King Morpheus, was kidnapped by the something. King of Nightmare Land. Oh shit, that's trouble. The Nightmare King is plotting to take over all of Slumberland and destroy nice dreams forever. Well, don't do that, Nightmare Man. But yeah, flying old helicopters is pretty much impossible. Flying new drones is basically anybody can do it. So it's definitely much easier than it used to be. Oh, that's interesting. I forgot about this. So at one point I was out flying and I saw this, this like 24-person boat. So you can see this boat here. So this is a crew shell, but it's got 24 people in it, which is a lot. So that's apparently my coworker was like, yeah, they do tours with this boat, and they were in town. So anyway, I can use the Morning Star now. This is the land of something something dreams. I'll just cast a spell on it, and then you'll be able to use it. Cool. Wow. Okay, now you can do it. You can, come on, attack or give away candies. You won't need keys anymore either. Well, that's excellent. Please promise me you'll go to Nightmare Land and defeat the Nightmare King. Please. I promise, girl. Even though you're a girl. Alright. He was complaining about her being a girl earlier. He was like, I don't know, I don't like girls. Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination. When he's short, he's what we call a lizard in plantation. He can help me climb some walls, he can help me do things, but I don't know what to do until I can avoid things. Oh, shit. Yeah, this is not great. Apparently, also there's 3 stages in Nightmare Land, and if you fail at any of them, you restart at the beginning of stage 1. So that's awesome. Really exciting. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm feeding him candy. Well, I have gotten at least through most of, like, Nightmare Land is the last world. And so, with the combination of save states, I've got an hour and 15 minutes until I would generally be bailing. So the combination of save states and how much time I have left, I think I should be able to do it. So, oh, I just fucked up. So I don't think I can use the beam while I'm on the lizard. Is that... I don't know what beam... I don't know how to use beam. I guess I'll have to figure this out. I don't know, Castlechew. When's the last time you tried to feed a dinosaur candy? Maybe it is part of their balanced diet. Alright, so how do I use the beam weapon? Oh, I see. Okay. So I think I can't do it while I'm on the lizard, but yeah, I can't do it while I'm on the lizard. And I don't know if I need the lizard to get through this part or not. Okay, so I need the lizard to get through that part because in order to get that hop, the lizard has to be there. Do you think a chicken is the same as a dinosaur? I don't think a chicken is the same as a dinosaur. Like, they've evolved to not survive on candy because, you know, they've done that. I don't think Barney was supposed to be a T-Rex. Then again, I don't know which dinosaurs were purple, so who knows? Maybe he was. Oh, I can't jump on his head. Should be able to jump on his head. Fire! Excellent. Fuck. I just want to get to the other side of this tree. There we go. It's not going to the spikes. Oh, this doesn't seem so bad. Alright, Penguin King. Oh shit. Alright, that was not great. Is this gonna go to the beginning? No, okay. Oh no, this is the beginning. Okay. So, note to self, save state more aggressively, but I was gonna not save state the first run here just so I could see what it was like. Thank you very much, Jim Halfpenny. Glad you made it back. Sorry you showed up during the rant. So one of the things that I do here on the Chris Plays Games channel is attempt to integrate various types of different content creation into my channel. One of the reasons is because I can't stand to hear myself stop talking. And so, like, I do all kinds of things like pre-record videos and show off my drone stuff and everything else like that. But you happen to stumble in during the CPG Rant of the evening. The CPG Rant of the evening is part of the stream where I give you a piece of my mind. It started out originally because I had found myself a couple different times stopping around 11 o'clock to go into some random thing. So at one point I was doing a breakdown of how you know, video game music worked on the NES. At one point I was doing a breakdown of why I thought YouTube gaming had more potential to grow than Twitch does, and other things like that. And so as I was doing that, I realized I really enjoyed kind of doing these, you know, teaching slash learning slash whatever sessions, and decided to integrate them as a normal part of my stream. It does mean that random people who show up during those parts of the stream are like, that's not gaming. I don't know what's going on here. Which is a totally reasonable, you know, response to, hey, I joined this gaming stream and there's some random guy talking about God knows what, which is exactly what happens, so, alright. Can't tell if I hit him or not. It did hit me, I agree. Ow. Take care, Super Fox 5. Thank you very much for the raid and for hanging out. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, abusing save states is definitely something I'm used to on this channel, Jim, so I'm not too worried about that. Take care, Flame Gremlin! Yeah, I mean, you can't just, you know... You can't just mix it up with... you can't have it play on easy mode, Brad. Yeah, I was just noticing that from the... Oops! The walkthrough I've got open. Oop. I can't tell if the Morning Star does more damage if I charge it up more or not. There's not really any way to tell. Since the penguin doesn't have any life bar. Not quite sure how I didn't get hit there, but okay. Oh, fuck. I do not. I don't know anything about the middle level yet, other than it exists. Okay, let's not get hit. Wait, Jose is leaving his house? I'm confused. Oh shit. Without making the jump, you keep the illusion and purposely jump into an enemy so he comes. Gotcha. Okay, so you are not an enemy I can ride. So I am probably gonna die after this and go back into the first level without losing a life. So I can come in here and save state at the beginning of the second world. I wanted to see how hard it was to get past the Penguin King, which was reasonable difficulty. I hate fucking floaters. Like that is like the floaters are my most hated enemy in this game. Oh shit. Random fireballs. Not really a close second, but definitely not my favorite. Fuck. Alright. Okay. Alright, so let's see if we can get to the... With save states, let's see if we can get to the first level without dying. Get busy living or get busy dying. Oh, junk. Did not see him because he was in the trunk of the tree. Alright. Okay. I can stand directly under the flame while on the lizard. Like, I assume not, yeah. Okay. So I made it through the first level without dying. Toss the save state. Now we're gonna be ready to start this up. Over here. One up. Excellent. It's a good start. Alright. Flame, flame, go away. Alright. Loaders, I hate you. Oh, seriously? That was stupid. Let's not do that again. Alright, so we got a frog there. Fuck. I don't need no stinking frog. Shit. I don't need no frog, but my lizard isn't working so well either. Yeah. I hated Master Blaster. It was like, well, the problem is I hate games that make you, like, I hate Metroidvanias, mostly. I hate games that make you replay sections of them. God damn it. I suck. Alright, let's do it. Do it to it. So I really did not like Master Blaster because I had to replay so many different parts of it and everything else like that. Ah, failed. If your lizard isn't working, have you tried Viagra? If you experience a lizard for 4 hours or more, call your doctor. Fuck. Yeah, see, like, I'm failing even on easy parts here, so this is a bad sign. Yep. Yeah, I see it. Whether I can do it or not is another question, but I see it. Ow! You gotta really be at the peak of your jump when you hit the floater, I think, in order to trigger it, so... Ugh. Woo. Oh, they can't hurt the lizard? That definitely makes the lizard a nice benefit to have here then, I guess. Can't make it all the way across as a lizard, I don't think, because there's no way the lizard can make that jump that I can think of. Alright, I got a flying stingray here. Earlier tonight we had stingray gaming, now we have stingray attacking. Yeah. Oh god. Alright, everyone likes flames. That's great. Oh god. Yes! He is a 5-year-old in a pair of onesie pajamas who's been recruited by the Princess of Slumber to rescue her father, King Morpheus, from the evil nightmare man. Can't remember his name. Boom. Yeah, not a super smart stingray, I agree. Yeah, so overall, Brad, impression now that I've played through a bunch of the game, there's some parts of it that just kind of feel brutal, but overall, the game's perfectly playable. It suffers from the kind of traditional Nintendo model of, if you don't have save states, I could imagine being very frustrated by some parts of it, but no more so than many other games. I think the continue system is pretty decent. In some of these later levels where it's making you kind of do a lot of backtracking just because you've died with no kind of midway save points, I find that frustrating, but not overly so. But again, I'm with save states, so that's kind of like, I avoid that frustration. The platforming is well done. I mean, the gameplay and controls and mechanics and everything are pretty much there. It feels a little bit, I guess, stiff. You know, you've got to, in some cases, you're gonna hit it right on or not. I think this comes just from the general, you know, feeling of, you know, kind of traditional platformers where you're, the Mega Man thing, right? Where you can stand with one pixel of your foot on the block, and it works. Same basic idea, here. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to use the mouse then. Oh, shit. Yeah, well, I think a lot of them, you know, as other people have pointed out, you know, there's the whole trade-off of, you know, difficulty versus time and everything else like that. But I think a lot of that comes down to, as well, to this game design wasn't as polished, didn't exist as much back then, and some of it is like, you know, we want the difficult part of this game to be to memorize patterns or like work it out by rote repetition or anything else like that, which I think are less the case now. I mean, gamers just don't stand for that very much. And so in addition to the limitations that the platform had, I think game design was just different back then, and it showed. It showed in games like this and pretty much every NES game. I think that you see that. I mean, I think that like just the mere fact that like the continue button in Nintendo or in Mario is something that so few people realize existed, is really kind of a weird thing, right? Like, it was included in the instruction manual, that if you hold down A, like, you would pick up from the world that you had left off in, but as far as I could tell, very few people know that. And so I think that that's very different. Well, I mean, some gamers are grown now, but my kids still play games and, you know, did when they were 6 and 2, so it's not that there aren't kid gamers. I mean, maybe there are more adult gamers than there used to be. I'm 33. Alright, I can just walk across those pits. Alright, fine. It's fine. I knew that. Fuck. Oh, so you don't play it well at all then. One of the jokes in the stream is that I am not allowed to play Tetris anymore. Tetris and fighting games are off limits according to my foreign policy minister, Brad Pritchard. YouTube hates the great outdoors, huh? Maybe you shouldn't go outdoors. That's not what you said last time I played. Last time I played, you said that I couldn't play anymore. I will point out that when I played Tetris against people on stream at VidCon, I beat everyone I played against, so... Well, so the problem, Proto Sam, is that I don't know any of the, like, move combination things that apparently are just, like, everyone knows them. And so, like, I don't know that I'm supposed to do, like left... you know, down to front plus low kick to, like, try moves. I'm like, I don't know the moves. How am I supposed to know the moves? So basically, I just, like, kick and punch, and that's it, and I chip away at people, so. Hello, Curtis. Long time no see. Cool sunglasses. Oh, so I have a question. There's some people here. Like, some of you are regulars. If I were to enable the sponsor button, would any of you be, like, interested in partaking of that? I'm interested in trying to figure out, like, I have been, you know, we all know that I hate emoji. I think emoji are the worst thing ever. But with YouTube coming out with custom emojis, the ability to have, like, a propeller hat emoji instead of having to use, like, the combination of top hat and helicopter, like, actually appeals to me, and I am interested in doing that. And so I am curious if, like, there is anyone out there who, if there was a sponsor button on this channel, would be willing to pay, like, you know, $4 a month or $5 a month to partake of sponsoring this channel, so that I can figure out if maybe I should get my hopes up around maybe having emoji someday or not. Because I kind of would like, I want a propeller hat, and I want an NES controller, and I want, oh fuck, for that mouse to not do anything else like that. Fuck. And like, don't, let's be clear, I am not asking anyone, like, hey, pay me money you don't have. Like, I totally understand that this is not a thing. Another thing that I plan to do is, so right now I run a Patreon, and I've been, like, very much appreciative of all the support I've gotten from a bunch of different people, and what I do with my Patreon funds is rededicate them to other creators, right? So I sponsor people on Patreon, and I do, you know, other things like that, and I would continue to do that with sponsorship money. Like, I don't care about the money, but, like, people, like, paying some money to support the channel makes me feel good, and then I would take whatever money I get and reinvest it in, you know, giveaways for creators, or as I did before, like VidCon tickets or other things like that. So, but I also understand that this is not like, I need your money, please give it to me, but rather, Would this be something you're interested in? You're right, I can't stop you. Your credit card company might be able to stop you, but really, their general interest is in you giving me money that you don't have. It is their way of reinforcing the patriarchy. I mean, I'm not that much of a foundation. I wish I was a foundation. I wish that I had... This is one of the things I actually want to do, is to set up a YouTube channel around how to run a YouTube channel. And so, like, taking some of the creator studio lessons and other things like that, and as well as stuff that I've learned from running a YouTube channel, and share that in a more professional forum rather than, you know, hey, there's a gaming stream that happens to have some comments on these things, so... I do not fall asleep when they feed me 3 candies. I mean, Planned Chrishood is pretty much a bad plan. God damn it, what was I thinking? No, I do not fall asleep when people feed me 3 candies. You have to feed me like 3 beers. As they say in Boondock Saints, you know, you have better luck with beer. But yeah, that's my goal. Like, and so helping people who can't get to VidCon to get to VidCon, helping inform people. You know, the first hour of the stream was just like people throwing out random questions about what YouTube can or can't do. I had to yet again explain why IP bans are a terrible idea, which I should really just make a mini-VOD about because I've done it a bunch now. These freaking bats. There we go. There we go. Alright, Hornet. A ham sandwich, Jose. Just make sure your ham is not bad first. That was my problem with my ham sandwich making plan earlier today. Turned out I have no more ham. That's any good. But yeah, so there's a couple things that I want to do as a creator. Like the things that I want to do is, one, I continue to consider whether a more researched podcast on various items, whether they're political or, you know, social or whatever else like that, would be something I am interested in partaking of. Uh-oh. That's the Nightmare King. Shit. Oops. You don't like cured meats. Does that mean you don't like ham? And like what other meat is a cured meat? Well, so the thing is that I don't want to overtake other things that exist, right? And so, like, I look at it, I constantly look at it, and I'm like, well, what am I doing that, like, the Internet Creators Guild shouldn't be doing, or isn't doing, and can I get them to do it? And so, like, that's one of the problems I have, is I don't want to take over a space that other people are or should already be doing with whatever I think is the right thing to do. Like, that's pretty much the, like, in the same way that I look towards communities of, you know, people of color to ask them how you know, I should be handling interacting with Black Lives Matter or other things like that. It's the same way here, where I look to all these people who are out there trying to create great content about, like, how to be a YouTube creator, and say, like, well, why is what I'm doing different than that? You know, like, what makes me special? And I actually don't have answers, so I got some extra lives. Not sure how that helps me. Oh, okay. Like, the thing about those extra lives is that if I was not save stating, I think I would go back to the beginning here, right? Pepperoni and salami. Got it. Oh, well, I do. Generally speaking, I have found that, oh, right, I need to use the Morning Star. I was like, what am I supposed to do here? Duh. Thanks, Sam. You got it. I got it. Took me a second. Oh, shit. Lasers are bad. Okay. Shit. But more importantly, in my case, you know, when I looked for advice, what I found was, you know, support your social, standing up for racial justice movement. Support your, you know, the local community orgs that are doing these types of things. And so, like, you know, contributing to them and talking to them and finding ways that I can be helpful with, you know, in some cases I have technical skills that maybe they are, you know, not able to easily replicate, that I can offer volunteer time doing something other than, you know, holding a sign, because there are lots of people who can hold the signs, but relatively few people who can program a, you know, PHP-based website. And so those are the types of things I look for, is like, hey, for an effective person, you know, let's figure out how to make the most use of my skills to make sure that, you know, we're being as effective as possible. And the same thing applies here. Like, you know, as much as I would love to make a podcast because I like to hear myself talk, if it's not the most effective way to communicate something, if it's better for me to do it in a larger forum, or it's even better for me to do it like through YouTube in some way, whether that's updates to the Creator Academy, or whether that is, you know, finding ways to be interviewed on Creator Insider, or kind of just encourage YouTube to write more documentation. You know, I think some of the outreach from the recommendations team has been very good, and like signal boosting that is more effective because there are people who are able to, you know, have the conversations with press and say, hey, like, we own this product and we would really like to be the people out there pushing it. You know, we want a seat at the table with all these kind of assholes who are just out there to make a quick buck telling people how to make money on YouTube. How can we do that? And when that voice comes from them, they're more effective. So me trying to communicate it behind the scenes, one, has the probability of getting me in trouble at work, and two, has the property that, you know, I'm not as effective and I don't have the same reach. So yeah, I mean, like, a huge amount of what I do comes from, you know, reading facts, right? Like, reading and answering FAQs. And so, you know, those are things that, it's not that I have a unique skill there, but I do have a skill. And so how do I maximize that? How do I turn that into something that is more effective than what I can do on my own? Wow, this guy sucks. I mean, it's not like he's that hard, but there's just a bunch of things going on, and I've got to track all of them, and then I'm trying to, like, maximize my beam damage. Alright, so we got about 35 minutes left to beat this boss. My goal is to beat it without save stating in the, like, hardcore save stating in the middle of the boss, so we'll see if that works. Shoot your laser. Alright. So Jess had that vibe for a long time. The problem is that people would come to her with their personal issues, and then like she would give them good advice, and they would tell her she was wrong, and then they would come back like 6 months later and tell her she was right. And so yeah, it was very much, you know, like she picked a nickname on AOL of Cassandra Seer for a while because she constantly felt like she would tell people things and they wouldn't believe her. Up over that. Do that. No idea how many hits this guy takes, but I don't feel like I'm doing any serious damage here. That's one of the problems. I also, like, I know, like, unless you're gonna live by the rules of 3, I really want a life bar. I just need to know I'm doing something. I know that kind of defeats the purpose in a lot of ways, that the kind of, am I killing it or not is not something that, you know, you would, like, somehow have in this situation, but it is a breach of the fourth wall that I am very much in favor of. Now shoot your lasers. But yeah, the other thing I plan to do with sponsors, which I think I will enable once the feature is available for everyone, is to give the same access to, like, sponsor or, like, Patreon-only content, right? So Patreon and sponsorship will be two effectively equivalent, you know, things as far as I can make them. I can't technically have access to the Patreon website to sponsors, but I can at least, you know, try to make those resources available. So it was like things like my stream notes or my mini-VODs that I publish or the Discord channel that's specifically for Patreon members I would continue to have available, so. No, I'm not beaming the lasers. No, I said I would enable sponsorships after everyone gets access to it. No, I'm not trying to beam the lasers, it's just that the lasers tend to come out at exactly the time when I want to beam him, so it probably looks that way. Oh, god damn it. When everyone gets access to sponsors, I will enable it for my channel. I do not know when that will be. The reality is that, like, twice I have been tempted to spill the beans and been wrong, so... well, twice I have spilled the beans. 4 times I've been tempted to spill the beans and been wrong. So, like, at this point, there is no reason to have any faith that even if I gave a date, that it would be right. So... it's definitely, like... I expected it at this. I expected it in September of last year. That was my expectation. Obviously, I was wrong, but that was what I was given to expect. Did not work out. We got super chat instead. Fuck! If it's not by the end of this year, I would be shocked the sky's falling. Absolutely 100% shocked. Like, there are people who, like, when we made the blog post in May that said it will be this year, it was us, like, we never make promises ahead of time on YouTube. Like, never. But it had become such a contentious point that I said, we have to say something. And so we picked a deadline that I was extremely comfortable we would complete. And there was a lot of wiggle room around that, so... I mean, Barb keeps telling people, if you are planning on making custom emojis, get them made now. And custom emoji is the only thing that you know, is related to the rollout that isn't done or whatever, so... I don't know that I'm damaging him other than by the fact that my shots don't go through him is evidence I'm damaging him. So that was the same way with the penguin boss, is that when the shots actually hit him, it was evidence I was doing damage. I am not fully charging the blast, that is correct. And a fully charged blast almost certainly does more damage. Fuck! I have no idea what the hardest final boss is. Hardest game I ever played was Echo. Mother Brain is pretty tough, especially if you don't come in with full, like, weapons. You know, a lot of them end up being, like, once you know how to do it, it gets a lot easier. So it's kind of hard to judge, right? Like, this boss, there's not really a lot to this boss. Once you've got a technique worked out, I think it would be pretty simple for most people. So, like, it's a hard thing to say because that's also true. Like, the Mega Man bosses, like the Dr. Wily bosses, if you don't know the right weapon to use, like, it's super annoying, and you've got to, like, go through all the stuff, and you'll probably die a bunch of times, and then, like, Wily 2 or Wily and Super Mega Man and Mega Man 2 is like you have to use Top Man for, you know, like to kill him, or is that 2 or 3? I don't remember. And it's like Top Man, you don't use Top Man for anything, so it's silly. And so yeah, there's a lot of things like that where figuring out how to beat a boss is much more difficult than actually beating the boss once you know how to do it. So now it takes me like no time at all to beat the bosses of, you know, Mega Man 2 and 3 because I know the technique. And so it depends, I guess, a little bit on how you're comparing those things. Shit. Alright. It's not going super well for me. Laser. Long. Blast. Laser. Yeah, I mean, Top Man just does a ton of damage to him, right? So it's like, it's a really quick way to beat him if you can pull it off without doing too much damage to yourself. Alright. Shit. Damn it. I think MMORPG bosses, I feel like, are a different breed though. So I think you really do want to kind of focus it to a game type. You know, platformers or something like that are going to have different styles of bosses than RPGs. Fuck. Thanks. How can I ever thank you, Nemo? You've saved me and my kingdom. Don't mention it. I was just keeping my promise to the princess. Aww. I know. I'll make you Prince of Slumberland. Really? Absolutely. I bet Camille would be thrilled, wouldn't you, sweetheart? I mean, arranged marriage doesn't feel like the perfect situation. Oh, goody, we can play together. Every day, we can have picnics in the lollipop forest. Explore the taffy swamp. I can teach you magic. Oh, it'll be such fun. Your land is really wonderful. So this guy's falling. I had never played the original Zelda Ganon boss. Can't you stay? And beating the boss was definitely way easier than making my way through the dungeon. Well, I'd like to, but I promised my mother I'd wake up early every day. Oh, every morning. There you go. Yes, it's important to keep your promises. He's a little bit predictable, this guy. Yeah, sure, says Camille. I'd better go home now. Can I come back sometime? Some other night? Of course, you can visit us every time you dream. Great, I'll see you soon. Bye. Wait, Nemo, don't go. Yeah, see, he said he didn't want any kissing. Alright, I guess this kid's going back to bed. Yeah, and again, that's one of those, like, is it hard once you have done it once? Is it hard the first, like, to figure out how to do it? Is it hard to do whatever? Again, I guess in Mega Man, right, which is a bad example, like, you can do, like, every boss has that property. Like, it's way easier if you know which things to use. And Ganon is certainly no exception to that. But I think getting the silver arrow in the dungeon is kind of a decent clue. Alright. Now awake. Congratulations, we did it! Hooray! Tom Pom was the character designer. So yeah, without save states, this game would be a bit brutal. Especially that last level where every time you died on the final boss, you would go all the way back, or every time you lost all your lives, you would go all the way back to the beginning of those 3 stages. That's not super cool. But overall, not a bad game, not too difficult, and I think it's fine. It's fine. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. No, Mike Tyson wasn't easy, and I think that points to, wow. That points to a lot of the, you know, Mike Tyson was a different type of game. You didn't have to memorize it, like, you had to have, like, lightning fast reactions to various things. Although, I do understand some people got good enough that they're going to know the order of everything, but I don't think that was the intent. I think it was supposed to be somewhat randomized, and so these games that are designed about reaction time rather than about memorization or performance or anything else like that is generally a different style of game. Capcom gets to be in special letters? What's up with that? Yay! Is that it? Alright, I was hoping the music was going to end and it was going to be magical or something, but it was not. Okay, so, beating Punch-Out blindfolded definitely indicates that it's not actually random, but that is not something I knew. It's certainly not the way I played it when I was playing. Hey guys.
Not looking good.
It's not looking good. He says while blindfolded.
Oh, let's see. Well, it could happen if we don't get a bad refill because I did get hit. So we want not the worst refill. And not running out of hearts. Let's see.
So one thing here though is you do still have the sound, right? So so while it's the case that yes, he's playing blindfolded,
Fuck, man, you're breaking my ball.
he still does have some indications of what's going on. Hey, it's Mike Tyson. Because he doesn't know, he hasn't memorized everything such that this is like perfect. It's that he knows pushing this button doesn't make the right noise, so I do something different. I think. Because otherwise he wouldn't get hit if everything was not scripted. Anyway, yeah. So there you go. Now you've seen some of that. Alrighty. Anyway, it has been absolutely lovely to have all of you here tonight. I don't have anyone that really kind of matches what I'm looking for tonight, so we're not going to do a raid, but it's been lovely to have all you here. This Friday, I'm going to be playing Embers of Mirim, one of the games that I saw at PAX East that I'm super excited about. It's like a combination of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons with Unravel and Inside. So definitely a cool platformer that I'm looking forward to playing with all of you. Gaming Lore did not ever show up, sadly. So we got no cause, we got no anything else like that, but it has been lovely to have all you here tonight and beat the game. I'll be back on Friday at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Looking forward to... I played Unravel. I'm playing Embers of Mirim, which reminds me of Unravel. Unravel is great, but Embers of Mirim is what I'm going to be playing, which is like a combination of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons with the dual stick controls, and Unravel because it's like a beautiful like platformer thing. So... it's been lovely to have you here tonight. Yugi, Eric, Disguise Falling, Matus, Chronodox CC Game, Orc Chaos, Nico Streams, Gaslichu, Matus. I already said Matus. But Matus, it's good to have you here twice. I am the Chris who plays games, and I will see you all later. Bye-bye. Here, have some drone footage to end the night. Oh, and Proto Sam. That's where Hawk versus Drone was.